whenever there's an episodic series, you can bet two men will talk to you. AJ Talon and Owen Finch give their thoughts on Owen and AJ Talks.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Owen and AJ Talks. I'm Owen Finch, and I'm here with...
AJ Talon, and today we're back for another show that's doing the whole past-present storyline. We just got done with Red vs. Blue, the Freelancer saga. Now we're back to YellowJackets, Season 2, Episode 7.
Yeah, and I'm excited. You know, last time we did a video, I was 28, now I'm 29, so my birthday's happened since then. But we're getting very close, you know. We only have... the fireworks happened. That's awesome.
I was like, oh shit, that actually scared me. I was like, what the fuck?
But if only happened. I hope it happens in the next Kiss Sis video because there's fireworks in that episode.
Yeah, because remember the last time that happened, like we didn't save the recording. So this is the take. We're doing it now.
Yeah, but yeah. So we're getting very close to finishing. RVB and YellowJackets. We did the RVB part of it. Now we're going to do YellowJackets. We only have, including this video, 3 more videos to do. So I'm excited. Let's get this going. So this is Season 2, Episode 7. And this episode is called Burial, which makes sense because we have a literal burial after what happened last episode. In this episode. And then obviously we have like a metaphorical burial where they talk about burying shit deep inside themselves and everything like that. So I actually think this was a good episode title. We never talk about this in shows because obviously with all the...
Like, I know what you meant, but that sounded like, oh, there's the literal burying of dead people, but there's also burying our feelings deep inside. Like, oh my god, want to say some slam poetry while you're at it, Owen?
I was just trying to be vague because I wanted to wait till we actually got to that part of the episode, yeah. So... Say that again?
I know, I'm just fucking with you.
Yeah. But yeah, I like the choice of the episode title. Did you like the choice of the episode title?
I did.
There you go. And this episode was directed by... Anya Adams, and it was written by Rich Monahan and Liz Fain, and I believe they said one of them was making their debut right in a YellowJackets episode, and they picked a good episode.
Do they have wikis, Owen? Are they worthy of wiki pages?
No wiki pages. No, nothing. Hey, but they must have done something right if they're writing episodes like this, so they should just come back some more.
Compared to what? What was it, like 3 and 4 or 4 and 5 that were like...
Yeah, I think we said. I remember I said in one of those videos that someone should have taken the day off that day, type of thing. So.
Yeah. But yeah, we're back at YellowJackets, and excuse me, I know I have to guess the air date.
But before that, we have some. The cinematography was done by Shasta Spain. Probably not how you say that, but I tried. And then the editing was done by Daniel Williams, which, you know, he had to do quite a bit of editing in this episode, obviously, because there's a point in time where it really cuts to the past and the present like every 5 seconds. So he had to put on his editing boots right there. Now you guess the air date.
So this is tough because I was getting it right for a while because we were doing these episodes like back to back, but now we've taken a long break, so I'm like, fuck. I remember it's not in the winter, but that doesn't really narrow it down much.
And it's not in 2021 because you get that.
But I'm like, is it 2022 or 2023? I think it's 2023 because season 3's just aired in 2025, and I remember there was a pretty big break. I think it was like a 2-year break. So I'm gonna guess that this was in March 15th, 2023.
Did you guess my birthday on purpose, or did you actually not do that on purpose?
I was kind of thinking, you know what, fuck it, I'll just guess your birthday.
Well, unfortunately, AJ, it's not my birthday.
You're damn shame.
It was huh?
This episode would have been a pretty nice gift.
Yeah, it would have been, actually. I wouldn't have be watching on my birthday, but it would have been a nice gift. It was May 14th, 2023. So you were like 2 months and...
I think you said March for a second. I'm like, are you shitting me? I was actually a day off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think you're going based off the fact that YellowJackets came out in February this year, but that wasn't the case 2 years ago. It came out like in April. So,
Okay. I was thinking, yeah, it came out February. Probably did that last time. Oh well.
You know, it's a shame.
I get it. I had probably bitched about this before, but it's so weird. The season that is very winter focused came out in fucking the summer.
Yeah, close to it. Yeah. So.
That told me like this is like a sound stage, like it's actually really hot for them. But like I assumed it was like still like like spring-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But alas, I was wrong. Hopefully next time I'll get it right. But let's continue on into the actual episode, Owen. And you are talking about the past, and I am talking about the present.
Yeah, we could talk about some behind the scenes. It was originally going to be reversed because I felt bad because the past few videos it's been this way, but I figured it was going to be nice and you talk about the past and then I talk about the present. But this is actually one of the rare occasions where you liked the present better than the past, and I think you were trying to write the notes down and you won't really remember what was going on in the past or anything like that. So I think you're like
getting like the beginning kind of blended together. Once we get further into it, I remembered it a lot more.
But yeah, let's just start talking about the past and stuff like that. You know, gonna go to 1996, where I was probably like not even a year old. I was probably whining and crying and shitting my pants at this time while they were all doing this.
I was like -4.
So there you go. You want even?
Wait, was it in 1996? Oh yeah, I was -4.
Yeah, maybe like -3.5, -3 3/4. So.
Well, actually, I'm the tail end of 2000, so if anything, I was like -4.5.
That's true.
Almost -5.
But, last episode we left off, just kind of remind everybody, Shauna had just lost her baby and everyone was really upset about it and everything like that. So we were kind of wondering, like, how are they going to follow up on this? My worry, obviously, at the time was I hope they don't do, like, a time skip and everything like that, because obviously YellowJackets has a pretty shitty trend of doing like time jumps at like the worst possible times after like a big character's death.
I remember like after the Doom coming out, or even when they don't do a time skip, that like the follow-up won't be that great. Like, I mean, I'll always bitch about how they like butchered like handling the Doom coming. Like after that, everybody was just kind of like, oh, well, shit be crazy, am I right?
Right.
We almost killed Travis. It do be like that sometimes. But no, this was a really good follow-up to the events of last episode.
Yeah, and we did get a little bit of a time jump. It's presumably like a few days, because obviously the cold open of this episode is, they kind of cut to the cabin and they're playing this really depressing music. It's done by Nirvana. I forget the name of the song, but... I felt like the music was a very good choice for this. Everyone's just kind of really down because obviously they just went through a shitty situation. Well, as we're going to find out, everyone but like one person's down, but we'll get to her in a little bit. As we say in GM mode, morale is really low. In GM mode, I don't think you'd want to be playing GM mode with these people on your roster, because their morale would be like negative like 5,045 type of thing. So,
yeah.
I think a lot of people would be quitting your roster and everything. Like, how you have like the angry emoji face? There would be like super like sad emoji, and then you'd have one.
Do anything, they would just quit. Like all your wrestlers would quit in 1 week.
I just love a common trend of YellowJackets is we love to take these depressing moments that we're supposed to like make a big deal out of, and we just make a huge joke out of them type of thing. But yeah, morale.
It does YellowJackets more than anything else for some reason.
And I feel like I'm always the one that starts this trend too. So, but yeah, morale is really low.
And like morale was never really high in YellowJackets. Like, it'd be really weird if everybody was like, "Oh boy, I love being stranded out in the woods."
Yeah, the morale was pretty high. Episode like 3 of season 1, actually. Season 1 of episode 4, and they're all dancing around having a good time. Morale was pretty high then. It's good morale.
only good moment they had.
Hey, that's pretty good morale right there, you know. And you know this, that should be honestly that should be a video, by the way. Times when morale were high and low in YellowJackets. That's a video. That needs a video. It needs to be made.
Well, if we did like a graph of it.
Yeah. I feel like we can't be stranded with these people. We'd be the only ones that would be like making jokes, like how's making jokes out of it and stuff. So
just be like fucking standing around not doing anything, kept complaining that Travis and Natalie aren't doing anything.
And we'd be like, guys, we're making graphs of how our morale is going right now. That's what we're doing.
I will never get over that. I actually was so pissed at Mari. I had a dream where I pulled out a whiteboard and listed all the reasons she sucks.
Oh, we'll get to her this episode. But, yeah, so morale's down.
She's like the reverse Kita's dad, where whenever he shows up, it's like a beam of hope. And Mari is like, she will fucking just like breathe in a scene. She'll just be in the background and we'll fucking rant about her.
I feel like I can't wait till we do a rewatch of this show, too, because you're going to notice Molly probably more in those episodes, and you're just going to be like, oh, Molly, what are you doing here? You're going to piss me off pretty soon. So,
like, why am I so angry all of a sudden?
But anyhow, it's just like, it's that episode of, LVB when, where Griff put the speed, that's the speed.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I think Sarge says that word for word. Where he's just like happy standing there, and then Griff runs by, and he's just like, "Why am I so angry all of a sudden?" So
I feel like Molly's just going to be in the background of a scene, and you're just going to be like, "Wait a minute, why am I so angry all of a sudden?"
Like a really cool Ben scene. I'm like, "Oh, awesome! I love Ben." And then Mari is just like her like finger is like in the camera shot a little bit, and I'm like, "Why do I fucking hate myself all of a sudden?"
I feel like for me, that's going to be CT for me, type of thing,
Yeah, I know, right? Where he when we found out that guy was CT, it's like, fuck, god damn it.
I think you were waiting for that too, by the way. I know we've talked about this, but you knew that guy was CT.
Oh, I can't wait for Owen's reaction to that. Yeah.
I still remember when I was saying, don't put that helmet on. Do not. You're supposed to feel probably one way doing that scene.
Coming on, all your IQ is going down the drain. You'll be in the negatives.
I even remember saying into my script, like, no, don't put that helmet on. Do not put that helmet on. Please don't put that helmet on. Like, please, it's begging him.
But I was trying to be the actual YellowJackets episode.
But anyhow, so morale's down real low for, the YellowJackets crew in the past anyways. And everyone's down, they're really depressed. Shauna especially. She's just cradling the dead body of her son, which I actually really like this, she hasn't let go of it. And I do like they did a little bit of a time jump, because I feel like if they did like an immediate follow-up to this, I feel like the episode would be pretty boring. So I like the fact that they did a couple days and everything like that.
After last episode, obviously, where Shauna was like in disbelief, like she didn't even believe that her son was dead. Like she thought her dream was like reality.
Yeah.
So, like, if this was immediately after, Shauna would probably just be, like, in it. I mean, she's obviously a mess this episode, but, like, she would be, like, just fucking, like, sobbing and screaming the whole episode,
But, Thais is kind of trying to get, like, Shauna's hopes up, trying to tell her to, like, drink some water and everything like that, but Shauna's just not really having it and everything like that. And we get, like, a glimmer of hope. And a big, I do want to say a big credit to this, because obviously we just watched RVB season 9. I do like that, because obviously we didn't really see anything that happened outside of Shauna's dream. I do like that they didn't really give us the sense that we like missed out on anything, like what was going on outside of Shauna's dream, because obviously that's a big critique we had of RVB season 9, where like everything that happened outside the Epsilon unit was like more interesting that we wish we could have seen than in season 9. I do like that, like, you get kind of they give you kind of a general idea this episode of like what was going on outside of Shauna's dream, and we didn't really feel like we completely missed out on anything. You got kind of a general vibe of what everyone was kind of doing outside of Shauna's dream and everything like that. But yeah, we get this glimmer of hope, where the snow stops for, finally. It's been snowing consistently for a few days, and everyone kind of gets happy about it. And obviously they can't get the door open because it's you know, there's snow in front of it and it's like frozen solid from it's, you know, being cold and everything like that, even though it's really not cold because it's on a soundstage, but whatever. You're supposed to know that. And you know, everyone's kind of working together, try to get the door open, which they do. And everyone kind of...
No, the show ends there. They can't leave the cabin ever.
Yeah, that'd be a thing. But, and they have to, like, work together because they have to get, like, the snow off of the steps and everything like that. And I do like that it shows how limited they are because they don't have, like, shovels or anything like that to do this. So they're just using, like, buckets or their hands or basically whatever they can to get rid of the snow. So it's going to take them longer. And Thais is telling Shauna, like, hey, like, Shauna, you should, like, go for a walk, like, get some fresh air. This could be good for you. And even Thais is like, I'll even go with you if you want, Shauna. And I do like this for a character moment for Thaisa, too, because obviously, as you're going to find out, Thais is not really feeling, you know, optimistic or anything like that, but she's kind of trying to fake it a little bit for Shauna's benefit and everything like that, which I think is kind of a contrast to, like, Thaisa in the present, because obviously there's times I think we've talked about in the present where Thaisa probably should have faked emotions to certain things but she just won't. So I do kind of like we have that contrast in the past and everything like that. And then you know,
it's also like Thais. This has been pretty consistent. Whenever Shauna's in like her low point, Thais is the one to kind of like try and pick her back up a bit.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, Shauna kind of walks off alone, and she grabs like a bunch of rocks and uses it to bury, you know, her son and everything like that. And this is really sad scene here because obviously this was a big thing that happened, and Shauna then says to her son what she said in her, I almost said the Epsilon unit, but what she said in her dream. Is, you know, it's you and me against the whole world. And this time it's, like, really sad because obviously this is what she said and it was meant to be a happy moment, but now it's, like, you kind of feel for Shauna here because she just kind of lost everything at this point. So, you know.
Yeah, I do like that that Shauna kind of, like, went away from everybody else to have, like, this as, like, a private moment.
Yeah.
Because throughout the past of this episode, you kind of get the... Like, Shauna doesn't really trust the others, you know, regarding her baby.
Yeah, I agree. And
it's all, like you said, they couldn't really bury the baby. They're all trapped in the shed. And you know, it's also kind of like the same issue they had with Jackie, where they couldn't even bury her because of all the ice.
Yeah.
So Shauna can't even really like bury her baby. She just kind of has to like place some rocks on them.
Yeah. So it's really sad. And then it cuts to the, what would you think of the cold open? Anything else you want to say about it? I really like the cold open. I like that it was like an immediate follow-up.
No, I do like it. Like I said, glad we're getting a follow-up on, you know, like last episode, and like, you know, we're focusing on Shauna's grief for this. You know, like, no, yeah, that's kind of it. You know, like, it was serviceable. It was fine. Very somber, and I think that fits.
And then we had the intro, and the intro was different this episode, and it was good. You know, I remember I said the intro was different. They had like a performer come in and sing, and it was bad. But this time it was, that
was kind of another reason I wanted to do the present, because I skipped intro, you know? So I didn't even know there was a different intro.
Yeah, so, yeah, there was a different intro, you know, usually the YellowJackets intro, and I'm not even sure if you've ever heard it, but, you know, it's very, like, punk rock, very edgy and everything like that. And this time it was much more, like, depressing and much more somber. And I thought that made sense. It really fit the tone, because I feel like this scene was very depressing, and just, like, the whole vibe of this scene was really depressing. I actually kind of like that they went more of a depressing, darker tone with the intro. And it really fit. It kind of made what you see in the intro of the episode, like, dramatic irony type of thing, because obviously you see them like having these fun times, like, you know, because obviously some of the stuff we see in the intro was like stuff what they were like before the plane crash, so it's very somber,
you know, like they jumped off the bridge and shit like that. Yeah.
So I like that we get kind of like that dramatic irony here and everything like that. And then yeah, the next scene we get in the past is Van and Thaisa kind of doing their own thing. They're helping, like, you know, dig up the snow and everything like that. And Thais is obviously very depressed, like hoping, that the baby was going to make it. Like she said, like, I really thought he was actually going to make it type of thing. And I do like that because obviously we got that scene where we thought he did make it. So, like, I think, she was kind of feeling like we all felt. And Van's kind of like talking about reality, saying like, yeah, but like, even if he did make it, like, the mom's starving, and like, who even knows if like he could have made it in that moment, but was he going to make it like long term? In the wilderness and everything like that, because we have no food. And I do like that Van's kind of being like the voice of reason here a little bit, and Van's just and Thaisa is even like looking at Van like, this doesn't sound like you, because usually Van's kind of trying to be optimistic and trying to talk to Thaisa, and Van's just like, yeah, it's not me, but it's like, it's one of these things. I've survived all this shit, almost being devoured by wolves, and a plane crash and everything like that. And I thought it was for like a bigger purpose for something like that, but it's like, I'm just really not seeing like, what did I survive for? Because I've seen all this negative shit now and everything like that.
I'm a little torn on this because, a big thing with at the end of last season and throughout this season is like Van like kind of believing in the wilderness. Like a big thing was like she was trying to convince Thaisa that like her sleepwalking like had a meaning. Mm-hmm. So, like this seems kind of sudden for Van to so all of a sudden think that like there isn't like some kind of purpose when that's been her big thing for a while now. I mean, I don't know. It's like I can see her questioning it, because of what happened with Shauna's baby. Like they all thought Shauna's baby would be like a big hope for them.
Yeah.
So I can see her questioning it, but like I don't know. This feels like a too sudden of a change. Like she's like, oh, there is no purpose. Like if she was like, maybe I was wrong. Like maybe if she was kind of like more on the fence, like having doubts instead of just full on her here being like, nah, there isn't a purpose.
I kind of didn't mind it too much because obviously a lot of bad shit was also happening even immediately after the wolf attack. Like, Laura Lee died, Jackie died, and then they ate Jackie, and then we had this happen. So like, I could see like the baby dying being like the final straw type of thing, and that was a pretty significant thing. So it's like,
I guess it's more so because like we didn't really get much of Van's thoughts on a lot of this bad stuff.
That's true.
Like Laura Lee weren't very close. Van and Jackie. Well, Van hated Jackie, remember, because Jackie left her in the crash. So I guess if like we got more of Van's thoughts on a lot of stuff beforehand, then this kind of like questioning of faith would make a bit more sense.
That's fair.
Like again, not that I don't believe that this would cause Van to like question it. Well, that's exactly my point. It feels like Van is coming off as like super down here, when I think at worst she would be like kind of questioning, not just like full on being like, yeah, no, there's probably no purpose.
I do question too if they wrote this scene in, because obviously in the present there's going to be a scene with Van where she's feeling this way for a different reason. So I don't know if that was.
It feels more so like they wrote this because of what's going on with present day Van.
Yeah, which I don't know if that's the best idea. That would be like having Wash have a PTSD moment in OVB all of a sudden in the past for no reason type of thing. So, but
yeah, I don't hate this scene. It's a little weird coming from Van.
Yeah. And then Thais is kind of talking Van up, being like, look, you're the reason, like, I'm still here. You're the reason I got through my sleepwalking and stuff. And I, like, need you to be still that hope for me. I need you to be that symbol of hope for me. So I do like this scene right here between Van and Thaisa. Because I like...
And that, again, feels like something that's for the present, because of what's going on with Thaisa and Van in the present day. It feels like they wanted Thaisa in the past to emphasize how important Van is to her. Because we know they're going to break up eventually.
Yeah. And then we get a scene with Coach Ben, he's going back to his hallucinations and everything like that. But this hallucination is very different. This time around...
Now?
Huh?
He's back in the Epsilon unit now.
Yeah. But this time around, Paul gets a phone call, and, like... we find out that this is, like, apparently not very good news he was receiving on the phone and everything like that. And when he hangs up, Ben is asking, like, who was that on the phone, Paul? And Paul's, like, trying to, like, talk him down, like, you're going to have to sit down, Ben. Like, this is not very good news. And obviously Ben doesn't really want to sit down, and Paul's like, okay, I'll sit down. And I feel like I've watched this episode a few times. You don't really notice it like originally, but when Ben's in this hallucination, he's got like both of his legs, and he's clearly out of this hallucination, like walking on his crutches. But when you see him like walk over towards Paul when he sit down, he's walking on both legs and everything like that, which I think is a cool touch and everything like that. And Ben's like and Paul's telling Ben like, you know, time's up pretty much. Like, this isn't really you're supposed to be, Ben. Like, it's time to just stop fighting it and everything like that. And Ben's not really sure what Paul's talking about, because obviously when we've seen these scenes, they've been overall roughly happier type of thing. And I like that this scene this time around, because usually when Ben's gone through the hallucinations, they're in like presumably Paul's apartment, but this time it's like in the cabin when he's having this hallucination. So Paul's like there.
I do like this because I was complaining about the van thing and not feeling like too much of a natural progression. I like this because, like you said, the like visions of Paul were like kind of like a happy escape for Ben to kind of like get away from all the horrible shit going on in reality. And in last episode with the baby, Ben was trying really, really hard to ignore what was going on and like stay in his happy place, but like he couldn't. Like too much of what was going on in the reality was ripping him out of his like hallucination.
Yeah,
and it was kind of continuing that. Well, pretty much Paul says it here, like you can't stay here. Like this was never like a permanent solution.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty much like after what happened last episode, Ben can't just run away to like his like fantasies with Paul.
And when Paul says like it's time, Ben, like this was never going to be a solution. So when Paul quote unquote leaves, Ben goes out and is calling for Paul, and obviously he's still in his hallucination, but like everyone around him's like Coach, are you okay type of thing. And like Ben kind of gets this moment where like he kind of realizes what Paul's trying to tell him and what like his mind's trying to tell him. So he's like, fine. And this is like, weirdly enough, this is the happiest that Ben has been like all season.
Yeah. Miles, and he seems like kind of at peace. Yeah, you're right. And like I didn't know exactly what this meant at the time, but like what happens with later, you're right. This is kind of like Ben's brain kind of using Paul as like a way to kind of convince himself to do what he does or tries to do.
Yep. So,
yeah, this isn't a bad thing, but this is me kind of taking a piss. It's and it's another example of YellowJackets if nobody wants to have an actual conversation. Like Ben runs out of the cabin, screams Paul, and everybody else is like, "Hey Ben, what happened?" And he's just like, "Nothing." It's like, "Oh, okay. I will not pursue that any further, Ben. Continue screaming your Paul's name out into the fucking woods. I shall not bother you further."
To be fair, I was kind of happy no one pressed him on it, because you know what? I'm like, you know what? This is the happiest Ben has been all season. I'm going to enjoy this.
Again, that's why I'm saying it's a really good moment. I love the scene. I just wanted to like make fun of it because like we always do that with YellowJackets.
Yeah.
Where it's like, hey, somebody does or says something really mysterious and nobody like gives a shit.
And again, we just need Church in there to try to figure this stuff out, and then when he gets nothing, he'll just throw his hands in and be like, you know what, fuck this, I'm done. Like,
or what like Griff said in season 8. What the fuck is that? Who the fuck are you? What the fuck are you talking about?
Yep. And then doing all this, we get a scene with Molly and some random background characters, and they're all kind of.
Owen, what I need to know is one of them recast girl.
Yes.
Oh, let's go! Recast girl.
I love, by the way, that actually, I don't even think you expected me to say yes to, like, didn't even know it, but it actually was, like.
I was like, I'm like 90% sure, because who the fuck else would she be talking to? But I was like, God, please let it be recast girl.
And it's that other chick that was, like, foaming at the mountain, like, in, like, Ben's vision and everything like that. It's that girl, too, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but recast girl, let's go. Like, but
he like had a mouse or something, I think, and she was a different person last season. That's all we know about her. I
like to think she like molted, like just changed skin,
Well, again, I love the idea that everybody's racist and like nobody noticed that she was a different person.
Oh, maybe it's like church with Epsilon. It's the same thing here, type of thing. So
Yeah, you're exactly right. I'm okay with that. Season 2 recast girl is a memory fragment of season 1 recast.
I love it. But yeah, they're having a talk, and Misty's, we see Misty, and we like see them in the off into the distance, which is very fitting, because they're background characters anyway. So I just love the fact that they were in the background while Misty was doing all this. That's cool. Huh?
Very fitting.
Yep. And everyone's kind of talking about how they feel about the baby. Recast girl is like talk about how Misty handled like great type of thing. And everyone's kind of giving Misty props, saying like, if I was in that situation, I would have broken. But of course, Molly's got to be like, yeah, but like, are we not going to talk about what happened with Crystal? Like, are we not going to mention the fact that like maybe Misty had something to do with it and everything like that?
I love the idea that like Maury cannot go 5 seconds without like being a downer.
Yeah.
Like somebody's, what a nice day. And she's like, yeah, but like somebody's dying out in the world. So we're like, is it really a nice day?
I'll get to I'm gonna say my rant for Maury in a different scene later, but
I just love how consistent it is that Maury never has a single positive thing come out of her mouth.
No, I don't think so. But yeah, so Molly's even like mentioning, the fact that like Crystal, like if Misty really cared about Crystal and like didn't have anything to do with her death, wouldn't she be like actively trying to set up a search party to try to find her now that the snow has stopped and everything like that? And then the next scene we get, literally, which I like that it was the next scene in the past, I guess, because that was good consistency, is Misty kind of gathers everybody together. And like Misty's being like, decently genuine here, mentions like, I know we just like had a big loss with the baby. I like to think that Misty threw that line in there like for us being like, yeah, Molly, like a great fucking thing to bring up when we just had like a big loss of a baby and you're gonna bring some that shit type of thing. Like I would have loved it if Misty just threw that line in there just for Molly's benefit. I'm gonna make that Family Guy joke, by the way, that the only reason Misty did this was because they said something. Misty should have taken the Family Guy thing where where it's like most of them are just background characters. They don't really blink and they just change faces every now and then. That's the Family Guy joke, But whatever, it happens.
So I want to bring this up now, I guess, because I was kind of questioning if Crystal's even real, because like nobody seemed to like give a shit about Crystal, and like like Misty's the only one who like talks to her. This episode again is like it making me feel one way and then the other, because like you're saying, Misty comes to everyone and is like, hey guys, I know we just had a big loss, but we got to look for Crystal because she could still be alive.
Yeah.
And then walks over and is like, hey, Misty's right, we got to look for Crystal. I'm like, oh, okay, so she's real. But then later in the episode, something happens where I'm like, wait, what?
Well, it's also really weird too, because like that conversation I mentioned, with those three characters, didn't even know Misty was like around at this point. So like they clearly just had this conversation with us, like what they were talking about Crystal without Misty there. So like they, they would, so like she was a real person.
Like you said, like we joked about them being in the background, but like that the same thing happens again like later. It happens like twice in this episode. So it kind of makes me wonder if like that's on purpose. Like, is again like everybody's fucking hallucinating. It makes me wonder if like Misty, like again thinking Crystal is real, is feeling guilt for like killing somebody, and like her mind is like making her think that like everybody around her is like talking about her.
But as I'm going to talk about soon, freaking Thaisa and Lottie have a conversation to try to like find Crystal, and Misty's like completely away from them at that point. So
right, it's just so weird because again, I mean, probably not. Crystal. I like that we can even have this discussion if Crystal's real or not, just because she's such a fucking enigma in the show. Where it's like, yeah. I wonder if the show, if the writers were like, if that was on purpose to make us wonder if Crystal was real or not.
That's what happens when you don't have someone in one of the seasons of the show that wasn't there before. So
right, Now I'm like, is that what the show's trying to do? Is make us wonder if Crystal's real or not, or if I'm just overthinking it?
I don't know. Again, we haven't seen season 3 yet, so I hope we'll see. I don't know if they've tied this up yet or not, too. So, yeah, Mistle. I did it again. I said Mistle again. Misty, wants to like start a search party to try to find Crystal, and like you said, Ben points out that Crystal could very well be out there, considering the fact that Harvey was out there all this time. And I like to think that Ben wanted to have this search party too, so that way they would kind of distract them, so he could go do what he wanted to do, type of thing. Because Ben, at this point too, but the first thing we see of this scene at all is Ben was shaven, so like that was obviously a little scene that ended up becoming kind of a big scene type of thing.
It's kind of like when people are going to commit suicide to kind of make themselves like presentable. Like sometimes they'll like dress in a suit, or like obviously here they shave, or like they try to make themselves like they kind of prep themselves.
Yeah. And obviously the background, a lot of the characters are confused, like wondering if that is the case, because they're trying to like do the math of the wilderness. Was like, well, yeah, but the wilderness like killed them but like stopped the snow, but killed them but like kept Shauna. And it's all the background characters that are trying to figure out how the wilderness works and everything like that. It's like, yeah, these background characters are ruthless to like trying to do the math type of thing instead of like feeling bad about it, but whatever. And Lottie's like,
and paper out like they're doing the math of like, okay, wilderness plus baby equals death minus snowstorm equals question. Like they're trying to think of like how it works.
Yeah, but Lottie kind of like brings up Faith and mentions, the fact that Crystal very well could be alive, and we're gonna see if we can find Crystal, and they all kind of huddle together in the circle and everything like that, and do like the wilderness chant and everything like that. I do like that Misty, as you could kind of tell, is like just false hope, because obviously she knows what really happened to Crystal, but she's playing along mainly just to kind of stay face. And everyone else is kind of just pretty genuine about it. So that was good. Well, one of them probably wasn't. So, and then everyone kind of goes to search. Like you said, not everybody, though. Like some people stayed behind, like some of the background characters. Not everyone went and helped look.
They refused to leave that cabin. There's a moose that can feed them through the winter. No. One of their friends is possibly out in the snow dead. No, even if help came for them right now, they would not leave that cabin.
Yep.
Present day, 2021. Some of those background characters that fucking cabin.
You make this joke that very well could be end up being a plot point in the future season too, and it could be a really good.
Like when help came, you're like, nah, I'm gonna stay here. I'm gonna fucking stay out here.
I didn't mind that Shauna didn't go because she's dealing with her own shit at the moment. So that was.
And again, Shauna's like the only valid person who again, it's like when Mari was giving Natalie and Travis shit. When it's like, motherfucker, they are the only two, and Ben who has a valid excuse for anything. Everybody else you can fuck with. I do kind of find. I feel like this is kind of cool irony. You give Sean. You used to give Sean a lot of shit in the present, but here we let Shauna get away with a lot of shit in the past. That's kind of cool. I guess that's kind of cool. Shauna's having her rough in season 2, so like I'm giving her a lot more slack.
Yeah, but a couple of background characters, are talking about like what's going to happen if they do find Crystal. Like, what do we do? Do we if in whatever state they're in, if they find Crystal, like, do we eat her type of thing? And they're like, well, it'd be very disrespectful to the wilderness not to waste it. I think this was meant to be a serious scene, but I didn't take it very seriously because obviously I when I saw this scene, I thought of that Family Guy joke when,
Because it's kind of played off as like comedic because at the end they're like, oh yeah, I guess we would have to eat her, but like, and obviously, hopefully not. And they're like, oh yeah, no, totally, Well, like they're kind of like bullshitting themselves. Like they actually are kind of hoping that Crystal's dead so they can eat her.
So yeah, it makes you think of that Family Guy joke where everyone's wondering whether to eat that person on Mount Everest, and then like Peter like is already
already like took the arm off. Yeah.
So
And Pierre's, I thought we already decided.
yeah.
I would love if like Stewie, one of them pulls out a bib with like Crystal's face on it, and like I am oddly prepared for this.
But obviously this gets Misty worried, so she goes out to help.
Well, I did want to say, like you said, that scene did seem kind of comedic, which is like weird.
Very weird.
So again, that's another reason why I'm like curious about what the fuck Crystal, because again, no one seems like really that concerned. Like again, because if everyone was just like, oh yeah, it's Misty's like imaginary friend or whatever, like I could see these reactions would make more sense to me.
Yes, but again, we don't know still. And then everyone is all together. Misty, Recast Girl, Thaisa, Lottie, Molly, and I think that's it. And they're all looking for Crystal. And I do like that Misty's really playing it up. Like, she's the one, like, shouting Crystal's name, obviously, and everything like that. And I really think that works, because obviously she's trying to make it seem like she didn't kill Crystal, but in her mind, it makes sense, because obviously into that group, that's, like, the only friend she has, and everything like that. So, like, that I like that. So they all kind of walk off. And this is where, we question whether or not Crystal is real, because, like I said, Misty's out completely away from this conversation, but then Lottie and Thaisa have their own conversation. And, Lottie mentions to Thaisa, where she's like, you were able to find Travis before. Maybe you could use your skills to try to find Crystal. And, like, Thaisa's like, I didn't really have any skills. It was nothing supernatural. Like, I didn't know where he was. And I kind of like that they had this moment, because Thaisa mentions to Lottie, the fact that, like, I actually don't really want to have that other Thaisa, like, running around and everything like that. Like, I want to not sleepwalk. I want to keep this person locked up and everything like that. And going to your groups has been helping that. And then Lottie mentions, like, she's not gone. She's just resting, and that's a good thing, type of thing. And I do like this scene, because this is a scene where I think worked right in it, because they have a scene, like, right after this, like, in the present, that you'll probably talk about. And this is a scene that worked where, like, not like the van scene, like you said, where it didn't really feel out of character. Like, everyone kind of felt that both people felt in character here and everything like that.
Thaisa's been consistent. Like, she's like disturbed, because again, she, like, for her, like, somebody else is basically using her body when she's like not conscious, which is like horrifying. Mm-hmm. And then for Lottie, she's all like, about the mystical mumbo jumbo. So she's like, no, that sleepwalking's like fucking cool, man. That shit's awesome. It's tight. Bro. Lottie's quote, 2021 or 1996.
Yeah, 1996.
Yeah. So I that's something where I like that's been consistent between the past and the present between them.
Minus, I mean, we've done we'll mention it every YellowJackets video probably until the show ends. The fact that Miss Thaisa sleepwalks in the past is stupid enough as it is, but
she's like confused by it. Yeah, because that is dumb. But I'm saying, like, in this context of, Thaisa and Lottie's, like, positions on it and how they talk about it, I like that.
Yeah. And then, Misty, Recast Girl, and Molly are still trying to find Crystal. And Misty, obviously fake sobs. And I do like this, because obviously, I was originally going to say the actor with the actress didn't really do a good job fake crying, but I actually think it was intentional, because obviously
point is like it's supposed to be like bad sobbing,
and obviously which I think is good, because obviously that with the scene I'll talk about later, that kind of makes it so we can tell that was genuine, but we'll talk about that.
Yeah, this is very this is more of a comedic thing, and like it's more like obvious. Like I was saying earlier, like the scene where they're discussing Crystal and it kind of comes off as comedic. I'm like, is that on purpose or not? This feels like on purpose, and like it's more fitting.
Yeah.
Because again, the audience knows Misty's bullshitting.
Yeah. So Misty's obviously fake sobbing about the fact that they're worried in what state they're gonna find Crystal in, and they don't want it to like. They don't want to see her like Jackie was when she died, and obviously, without saying it, they kind of know what would happen at that point. So recast girl is being pretty supportive, being like, hey, like, we'll continue looking, like, why don't you, like, go back to the cabin? And of course, I'm doing the rant here this time, because I haven't ranted about this person yet. Molly's just like, yeah, go back to the cabin while we look for your friend, very sarcastically and everything. I'm like, Molly! I kind of talked about this in the Red versus Blue video, because obviously I had seen this episode, like, before then, and it tied into South Dakota's character. But, like, this is worse, because Molly, like, do you not realize, like, the dramatic thing that just happened, like, recently, like, within the past few days? Like, Shauna just lost her baby, Crystal just died, and you don't even know how. Like, she just went missing, like, not long before that. And then, like, everyone's just in morale low, but you're just, like, being a double downer, and I feel like that's the thing. Molly just seems, like, unchanged and unfazed about what happened with, like, Shauna's baby.
Oh, fuck. She will be a downer no matter what happens. It'll be 9/11 and she'll be like, oh, damn. So you're still going to get out of bed? You're not going to get out of bed, loser? Why, you're depressed because a bunch of people died? Get over it. You know, like, that's kind of how Mari comes across.
I remember, too, we did, like, a video. We talked off camera, like, who's your least favorite, like, YellowJackets, like, character? And this episode hadn't, like, aired yet. And I'm like, and you said Travis? And I'm like, yeah, I could kind of see Travis. I'm going to argue with you, and I think Molly's worse, because the fact that, like, this episode really showcases just...
but it's like, she's also, like, this is kind of, like, her only thing, is she just kind of shows up, says something really stupid and inconsiderate, and then, like, fucks off back to the background.
And I think this is where we talk about this, because we mentioned this with South Dakota. That's obviously, like, intentional, and, like, it's meant to be intended. Like, obviously, we're meant to hate her, like, you know... in the way that we hate her in RVB and everything like that. I think this is intentional, but this doesn't come off. I don't think we get the intention that the writers...
It seems to me that she's, like, kind of just like a bratty teen. But it comes off as that she's a fucking psycho.
I know. It's,
like, has to say something, like, shitty. Like, no matter, like again. Remember when Shauna was, like, sad that they were, like, you know, that her best friend was dead? And then Mario was like, "Oh, what are you her protector now?" It's like, wow, bitch, fuck you. Where the fuck is that coming from?
And I watched all the scenes back with like the stuff that Mario like says, and it's like when you realize that. Remember too, it was like a season 1 episode of. Where we would say, oh, it's just Jackie. You could take that joke now and just copy and paste that into like Molly's fucking character now.
Funny because Jackie had other scenes. This is Mari's one personality trait is bitch. And
I don't think that's gonna be good because you know the big thing is who's Pico and everyone's predicting that it's Molly. If it is Molly, I don't know because in the present you're supposed to like feel bad for Molly or whoever Pit Girl is and supposed to be like a dramatic thing.
Right. Yeah, get Mari, let's go.
I don't know if that's going to be a good thing for you either, because that means you're going to be stuck. We don't know when that...
Stuck with her for a while more. It's like, fuck.
Yeah, so... yeah. But yeah, Molly's an adventure, you know?
I love that this got Mari out of the cabin. Like not when they, like, possibly had food for, like, the rest of the winter. She wanted to bitch about, like, the fucking stupid competition. But now it's like she's giving Misty shit for, like, wanting to go back to the cabin. It's like, Mari, your ass has not been outside in, like, the entire season. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. So, and Mari's the whole reason they're doing this fucking bullshit church anyways type of thing. So, but yeah, so, yeah, Molly and Recast go fuck off, and we don't see... This is good. We don't see Molly. By the way, I did mention this...
If when Misty goes down to the cliff to check on Crystal's corpse, she just finds Mari. Like, Mari somehow, like, was, like, just kind of looking around, and she, like, accidentally fell off the cliff.
Yeah. By the way, I do want to point this out, because I pointed this out last episode. Molly not in show, episode instantly better. Molly in show, episode worse. That's the best, you know... Yep. So
that's how it goes. Yeah, thank God Mari and Recast Girl fuck off.
I don't hate Recast Girl actually, but Molly is just like, what the fuck? Like, get the fuck out of here.
It's just like a funny case because again, like, not really much of a personality besides got recast.
And again, if
girl.
And again, I feel like the fact that if you're recasting someone, that means like that character wasn't big to begin with. So the fact that you recasted them, I don't think I can really care about that character.
I feel like they should have just made her a new character. Well, because I thought she was a new character, and you're like, oh, hey, by the way, that's like the girl who was in that one scene in season 1. It's like, oh, okay, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, right. I do like this with Misty, where because the show obviously has been made at a point that like Misty's like a psycho, but like it's on purpose. Like we are supposed to feel this way about Misty.
Mm-hmm.
And the first scenes of this episode, it's like, oh, Misty's only like pretending to care about Crystal because obviously like she just like wants to deflect blame. But then the second half of Misty's plot in this episode does a good job flipping it on its head, where it actually kind of makes me care for what Misty's going through. Where now she's running back to the cliff to find Crystal, and she's like telling herself that she doesn't want like the others to eat Crystal's body.
Yeah, and I think she's feeling too that like not the others, but obviously she would have to do the same thing because that's the only way she could survive, also, type of thing. So,
but I kind of do like this, where obviously she feels really bad about killing Crystal, but like obviously the search was just like a way to deflect blame. But now it's like this is like genuine, where she's like, okay, now she's trying to make sure they don't find her, and it's not to like be like, oh, why was she at the bottom of the cliff? It's like no, because she cares about Crystal and like wants to respect her body. Like she doesn't want to eat her. Like what happened to Jackie?
Yeah. So then the next scene we get with any of this is Misty's at the bottom of the cliff where Crystal fell off, and this is a little weird. She can't find Crystal's body. It's not there. She's digging and digging. Now, obviously, we don't really know what happened because it could have been one of the things that it could just be buried so deep into the snow. Because obviously, presumably it's been snowing for like a few days, so maybe it's just buried so deep under there that they can't find it. Or maybe this is meant to be the reveal that like Crystal was never real. But again, we're kind of opening a can of worms there because we've had a few occasions where we've had conversations where like Misty hasn't been around and they've talked to Crystal without Misty there a few times. So I'm not really sure what the case is going on there. So that is a little suspicious.
Makes me wonder if this is like a hobby situation where like she just like she fell off this big ass cliff. It's like she's like kind of like a van thing, I guess, where like she came back to life and then like Javi fucked off and now we don't know where she went. Right.
But we never get anything more on that. But
he has not done jack shit since he came back.
Oh, I was getting into that, yeah. But they can't find Misty can't find Crystal. Which is very interesting, I kind of hope they didn't really do anything more with it this episode, which I didn't mind in the moment just because the Ben thing overtook it and that was fine, but I kind of hope that becomes a thing like later on or something.
I made the comparison to Javi. I'm guessing, because again, like Javi's not done shit since he came back. I'm guessing like that's going to be a season 3 thing, is like wherever Javi disappeared to, and then like that's kind of like wherever he went, that's where Crystal is now.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that's pretty like plot.
Yeah, but we'll see. Doing all of this though, Ben, this is the first time he's left the cabin. I think since Doom coming probably.
Yeah. Well, because he even made a good point when Mari was throwing shade at him, where she's like, I'm in crutches, bitch. How the fuck am I supposed to walk around in the snow?
Yeah. But he's struggling, and he's finally at peace with himself. Like, he's ready. He's at the point where, like, he's ready to presumably go do whatever he's going to do. And we find out he's on the same cliff where Crystal died. And I do like this because this kind of gave us the indication, like, yeah, he's going to kill himself type of thing. Like, when you watch the episode back before you know this, you kind of get that feeling that that's what Paul was talking about. But once you kind of see him at the edge of the cliff, you're like, oh, yeah, that's what he's going to do type of thing.
This makes sense. Obviously, Ben, back in season 1, when he first lost his leg, he was wondering, he was like wishing he just died. And things have only gotten worse for Ben since then. So this makes sense for him. And it's like, so Misty being here at the same time, I feel like wasn't a coincidence. Like you said, I feel like a big reason Ben was supporting the search for Crystal was so, like you said, was that like everybody would be busy with that so he could go off on his own. Mm-hmm. And of course, Misty's here looking because this is where Crystal died. And, this is like really the only place Ben could go to a high enough place to kill himself. So, like, again, this doesn't feel like a coincidence. Like, oh, what are the odds they happen to be here at the exact same time? Like, no, this makes sense why they're both here at this moment.
Yeah. And, Misty, sees all of this, like, she starts climbing the cliff again and everything like that. And then she's like, she looks at Ben and she's just like, Coach Ben, what are you doing? And she starts getting, like, worried, being like, wait, you're too close to the edge. And, she realizes, like, Ben's doing this on purpose. Like, this is a suicide mission, pretty much. Obviously, Misty's trying to talk Coach Ben out of, like, jumping off. And, like, Ben's just like, you know what? Like, couldn't you just, I think Ben's trying to, like, get out of it by, like, couldn't you just push me off? Where it's like, okay, I didn't commit suicide, but, like, if you push me off, then it's like, I don't have to make the choice necessarily.
Part of him is, like, scared, because obviously, like, he's like, like, that way I don't have to, like, do it myself. Just, like, give me the push I need.
Yeah.
And obviously, because, like, Misty's trying to talk him out of it, so, like, he's trying to, like, get Misty to stop talking him out of it.
But, Misty's trying to, tell Coach Ben, like, no, like, we need you, Ben. Like, you represent hope and everything like that. And I think Ben kind of gets the sense that, like, Misty's bullshitting a little bit because obviously he doesn't really feel that way because no one's really been listening to him and have been ignoring him at every which way anytime he's tried to pitch in. So Misty kind of tries to go into a psycho mode and kind of tries to, like, blackmail Ben into not killing himself by saying,
obviously, like, an act. Like, Misty is kind of just, like, trying to play the villain.
Yeah.
For this, like she's not being genuine with these threats.
But she says, like, hey, like, if you do this, we'll mention that, like, you were the one, I'll tell everyone that you were the one that impregnated, like, Shauna. I'll say that you've, like, raped and molested all of us. And I said that I'll mention that, like, that we were actually a couple out here and everything like that. And,
first threat, because obviously in season 1 she was, like, obsessed love with Ben, and now she's kind of like, now that she knows Ben doesn't like her that way, she's using it as, like, a threat.
Yeah. And Ben still kind of doesn't care, and she tries to do this threat where Misty says, I'll even mention to all your parents and everyone that you're gay. And honestly, weirdly enough, that kind of made Ben even at more peace, being like, he looks back and he says, like, do it, because obviously that's the whole reason he's even out there to begin with, was because he was too afraid.
Well, yeah, I love that, because that was a big thing in season 1, was, like, when he, like, when he was on the shrooms, he wanted to, like, scream that, like, hey, I'm gay, like he wanted to like, have the world know it. And like you said, that's the reason he's out here, is he couldn't, like, be proud and out. So that, like, I get why Misty thought that was a good threat, because, like, she thinks, but, like, I can see why that makes Ben more at peace in a way. It's kind of like this deep, dark secret that he's had for so long. And, that kind of even, like you said, makes him more at peace, being like, good. Like, I'm glad that, even if I'm gone, like, you'll, like, do that for me in a weird way.
Yeah. But, yeah, Ben's getting ready. He's on the verge of
ignoring her, but as soon as she says that, he kind of, like, turns around and smiles and says, like, do it.
Yeah, but he's about to commit suicide. He's on the verge of, he literally just has to, like, he literally just has to.
I step because I'm not making a one-legged joke.
Yeah, but he literally just has to, like, put his crutches forward and he'll just go off the edge. And
what they say, what. Suicide isn't the answer. You gotta take life one step at a time. Take one leg in front of the other.
Damn.
You gotta stand tall with your 2 legs firmly planted on the ground, ready for what life has to throw at you.
Oh man. But anyhow,
if I were Ben, I would want to kill myself too.
But when Misty's threats doesn't work, Misty finally, like, starts sobbing and says, like, that she tried to, like, with all her heart to keep the baby from dying and everything like that. And she obviously starts to finally feel bad because obviously, like, she hasn't been able to, like, save anybody, and she feels like that the deaths of other people have been on her hands and everything like that. And I do like this because obviously this kind of, you know, goes forth with how she feels about Crystal. And I think we talked about this off cam. I like that she used the baby for this argument instead of Crystal, because I feel like if she said Crystal to Ben here, it wouldn't really probably carry as much weight and everything like that. So, what...
I love this, again, showing, like, obviously the threatening thing was just like an act. She was trying to make herself the villain to keep Ben alive, but when that's not working, like, Crystal just like, I mean, not Crystal, fucking, you got me doing it.
Yeah.
Misty was just full on, like, sobbing, and I'm like, and I like that, you know, we're seeing how, like, even Misty was affected by the baby's death. And this makes what Shauna does to her later in the episode even, like, worse. Because, again, Misty, you know, you can give her shit for a lot of stuff. You know, the baby dying is definitely not one of them.
And then I like what Misty says.
Sorry, I was going to say, I like this, how this matches up with the present, where she was spending all of season 1 trying so hard to, like, help Natalie and, like, keep Natalie alive.
Yep. But yeah, so Misty then tells Ben, like, hopes, you know, like, I don't want to have another death on my hands. And this kind of finally gets Ben to, like stop and, like, committing suicide and everything like that. Like, pretty much the only reason he doesn't do it is, you know, he didn't want Misty to feel like at fault again for, like, another death being on her hands. In a weird way, you kind of feel for Ben, too, here, because, like, the whole reason he's in this situation is because he can't get in control, and now he's not even in control of, like, his suicide now either, type of thing. So you kind of feel bad for Ben here, like...
You can feel bad for Ben, but I like that, even though he obviously, you know, because of what happened in season 1, he probably, if anything, hates Misty. But, like, seeing her, like, he didn't want to see her like that. Like, he actually genuinely feels bad for her.
Yeah.
Away from the cliff. But like you said, I feel bad for Ben because it's like, he didn't really step away from the cliff for himself, you know, because it's like he decided he wants to live. Again, he's mainly doing it to, like, spare Misty that grief.
And this makes me question, you know, what's going to happen with Ben at all, because, like, if Ben had died here, this could be a what if. He would be at peace, and it would be, like, a pretty decent, like, character's death. I kind of hope if Ben does die later, that if it's a tragic death, we're going to come back to this and be like, you know.
Yeah.
So.
And it's kind of like in Breaking Bad, where Walt was, like, thinking about how he had the perfect moment to die, and he lived too long. Or, fuck. There was another thing. Oh, yeah, when Natalie was talking to Jackie's body, where she was like, hey, maybe you, like, lucked out because things are probably going to get a lot worse, so it's maybe better you died now. Yeah,
so I'm wondering if we're going to have that same, like, if Ben does die later on, I'm wondering if, like, you know, I'm wondering if we're going to come back to this later, be like, should Ben have died here type of thing. So, I like that this is the last thing we got of the past, too. And this was kind of one of those occasions we didn't really know what was going to happen, because again we didn't really know Ben's fate, so you're like, this was very unpredictable. Like, was Ben going to was he going to, like, go off the edge and commit suicide? So I did like this. We did have that unpredictability here, because we don't have that a lot in the past and everything like that. So, and again, I like that this was the last thing we got in the past before the Shauna stuff, just because this carried a lot of weight and anything like that. So anything else you want to say about this before I talk about what Shauna was doing the whole time?
Probably the highlight of the past for me, honestly, the Misty and Ben scene. So that's pretty much it. Really good scene. I loved it.
And then, you know, we have what Shauna's been doing, because the biggest thing I kind of praise is I kind of like that Shauna really wasn't in this episode all that much, because it really made the devastation of Shauna losing her baby come off really well even more type of thing. It made it feel like, you know, she was kind of separated from the whole group, and she was kind of off in her own little world, kind of dealing with this and everything like that. And we got little scenes with Shauna after she buried her baby, like after they went off to look for Crystal. Van, like, pulls up, like, a blanket, and we see, like, the bloody blanket that was made for at the baby shower. It's just covered in blood. And she, like, throws it into the fire, kind of showing, like, she doesn't really want to have any memories of, like, anything that, like, would have happened with the baby. Like, that baby shower stuff is just, she doesn't want to really even think about the death of her baby or anything like that. You know, then she goes into where they were keeping Jackie in the beginning of the season, like her dead body and everything like that. And she tries to like go to Jackie because she's obviously
circumstances, and I was like hesitant to even make the comparison. But it is, it's nice that in real life, your sister just had from what I heard from our grandmother, a very nice baby shower. So I do feel bad for Shauna here. You wish, even though Shauna has a lot of faults, you kind of wish she had like a normal, nice baby shower.
Yeah, but she's trying to go to like Jackie because she's really feeling down at this point. But obviously because she doesn't really feel like Jackie could be there for her, everything like that. The loss of Jackie's body and just the fact that Jackie's not even there for her, it just kind of makes Shauna like feel even more alone and everything like that, and just feels like she just can't get out of this funk and can't get out of this situation and everything like that. And this is pretty real feelings too, because obviously this is what you would imagine someone would feel like if they lost their baby at birth and everything like that. And I think the fact that Shauna doesn't really have anyone to go to, they're just out in the middle of nowhere in the woods, is probably making it worse. And she's hungry, so
yeah. That's why I was saying season 2, Shauna has been put through the ringer. Jackie died, and it's like partly her fault, or like a lot her fault. It's probably been like maybe 2 months since then, since they ate Jackie's body, and her son died at birth. And it's the son that her getting pregnant with that kid is what resulted in like her friendship with Jackie ruining and Jackie dying.
And then the kid didn't make it, so it's like,
like for her, it must feel like fucking like everything that like I was supposed to have, just like not like I ended up with nothing.
It's weird. Well, in a weird way, Shauna did a lot of this to herself, but you still feel bad for her just because, like,
Well, funny because we just had that thing with the director of Red vs. Blue, where the whole show makes you like hate him for all the horrible things he did. But then, at the very end, you're kind of like, fuck, you can't help but feel bad for him.
Yep. And
I'll have to make that comparison in that video.
We will. And then, but yeah, so doing this, towards the end of the episode, Shauna comes in. It's late at night. And she hears Misty humming, and this was the same song that I think she was humming like in a dream to a baby and everything like that. And she's like frantically asking Misty like where the hell she heard that song. And Shauna's blowing up here, and I like this blow up. You get why Shauna's blowing up like this, but like if we didn't see Shauna's dream, we would probably be feeling the same way all the other characters are feeling, being like, this kind of seems really random.
Yeah.
Because it's not like I think it was like a pretty common song that Misty was humming and everything like that. So,
and I also kind of like that, like Shauna's thought. Well, again, because like you said, like she was humming that song in her dream, and then she also had that dream where like they were eating the baby.
Yep.
And it's also like that was my theory. Remember that like I thought they were gonna eat the baby. So when that didn't happen, I was surprised. So like I kind of like that, like my thoughts are kind of like are what Shauna's showing, where she's like assuming the worst out of everybody.
Right. The thing I don't hope happens, I will say, is like, it's a twist. Like they actually did eat the baby, and then like they replaced the bot, because some people have pointed out in the show we never actually saw the baby's dead body, so they could have faked like the baby didn't make it or something like that.
I feel like I like to see more that it's Shauna like kind of going off the rails. If Shauna was actually valid and they like fucking gaslit her into thinking they didn't eat her baby, that'd be fucking insane.
Right. I hope. I'm just saying that a lot of people have speculated that, so I hope that isn't the case. I kind of hope it's what we.
And like I said earlier, like you give Misty a lot of shit for a lot of stuff. But like when Shauna full on like punches Misty in the face and like screams at her that like you fucking killed my baby, because of Misty sobbing earlier about like how she feels responsible for what happened to the baby. Like I feel really bad for Misty there.
Yeah. And Natalie even tries to tell like Shauna that like, hey, like Misty tried everything she could to save her, which was interesting. I mentioned that because Natalie really didn't in the past anyways, I guess the present too, but Natalie in the past more so was kind of really didn't do anything in this episode. That's like the only time I think she spoke the whole episode, which is pretty interesting.
I don't really think her actress for this episode. You figure, they would just have the actress take a day off.
I was okay with her. I was okay with them not doing anything with Natalie though, because there was.
I agree. Well, it's kind of like I had the thing with Van, where I'm like, Van has like not been involved with Shauna's storyline at all. So it was kind of weird that Van was like having so much doubts over what happened. So kind of same thing here, where Natalie and Shauna have like barely interacted.
Right.
So it'd be kind of got a lot.
Then doing all this, Shauna's just going off being like, you guys all ate my baby and all this type of stuff. And then Lottie steps in and, she kind of, tells Shauna to kind of let it out, take a shot type of thing. And Shauna kind of like without hesitation just strikes Lottie right in the face. And then she kind of looks over and she tells Travis to bring Harvey, who I forgot was even there, into the other room. And she kind of folds her hand, she puts her hands, behind her back and very like Messiah, like very Christ, like kind of like just basically sacrifices herself and like lets Shauna, I don't think kill her, but obviously like beat her up so that way she could finally get all the rage and just get all the pain like out of her and everything like that. And yeah, Shauna just absolutely punches the shit and beats the crap out of Lottie.
Lottie, she gets beat up, like you are underselling it. Lottie is a bloody mess. Her face is like swelled up like 3 times the size.
Yeah.
Obviously, if she wasn't alive in the present day, this would be a question of like, oh fuck, did Shauna just kill Lottie?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, but I really like this though too because they were obviously they were using the song "Lightning Crashing" for this, and there's a moment in that song where she says like I can feel it coming back again, and that song, that lyric of the song really hit home and everything like that, and that. When you talk about the scene in the present that was going on at the same time, it really made this scene stand out a lot more and everything like that.
Because, like Van obviously in the present day has the scars that she has from season 1. It would have been cool if they gave present day Lottie's actress like facial scars. And we wonder like, oh shit, how does Lottie get all those scars?
Yeah.
And then maybe that'd be kind of cool, like foreshadowing what Shauna does to Lottie here.
Yeah, I kind of wish they would have done that. Or like she has like some type of mark or something.
Although I think we did get a bit of foreshadowing for this because Travis, and when Lottie was explaining this to Natalie earlier this season, we heard Travis tell Lottie that like Van and Lottie had like near-death experiences and like gotten really close to the wilderness. We obviously know Van's near-death experience, but we didn't really know Lottie's.
Yeah.
I guess argue when she was out in the snow during the hunt, when she was competing with Natalie. But I feel like it'd be cool if this is what Travis was talking about.
Yeah, I would like that. But after after Lottie has just absolutely brutalized. I'm sorry, no, I mixed that up. After Shauna has just absolutely brutalized Lottie, after she kind of lets all her rage out and stuff, you could kind of see that I think Shauna kind of blacked out a little bit. And so she kind of, when Lottie's like choking on her own blood and stuff, she's like, okay, Lottie, like, it's fine type of thing. So she's like trying to talk to her. And then I think Shauna kind of realized, maybe that's she went too far, but obviously that like, she's obviously having problems, so she just kind of goes outside in the snow and like puts her hands in the snow, and everyone kind of checks on her. And I love that they cut to everyone who was just watching this in like horror and everything like that, and no one really stepped in because obviously Shauna's really like is in a rage at the moment, and I think like
as Lottie was like obviously like wanting Shauna to do this. I feel like if Shauna just full on like attacked Lottie and Lottie was like, "Oh my god, help me!" Like I feel like if no one stepped in for that, it'd be like, "Okay, come on, guys."
I wish we could.
I feel like even though Lottie was like literally saying like, "No, it's okay, Shauna hit me," I feel like at some point, come on, like guys, step in. But like if Shauna actually killed Lottie here, Imagine, like,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, hey, you've, like, stepped in, you think?
Molly didn't step in, so, you know, it's
Mike's probably on the side, like, eating some popcorn, being like, yes, Donna, let the hate flow through you.
But I really like this scene here. You know, it just showed how low all the characters are at this moment, and how especially Shauna is at this moment. And you know, you find out off camera and behind the scenes, you know, how they filmed this. You know, Shauna, the actress, Sophia Elise took like some boxing classes for this. Obviously, in real life, she didn't really hit her. They obviously made it look that way, but I think she took, you know.
The prize for Lottie's actress, like, she thinks she's gonna get fake hit, but the writers are like going over to Shauna's actress, being like, no, you're actually gonna beat the fuck out of her.
Well, you know, we have to be more clear here because Jesse Pinkman got like a fucking legit concussion. Well, Aaron Paul got a legit concussion from Tuco's actress and everything like that.
That reminds me in Spider-Man 1, you know, there's a scene where like Peter Parker, like, or Tobey Maguire is like fighting the bully, and like a couple of guys off camera like went over to like the actor who's playing the bully, and they were kind of like, hey, listen, man, I'll give you $100 if you like accidentally fully actually hit him.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, and obviously this is really cool because obviously, you know, Shauna's actress and Lottie's actress are like friends in real, like really good friends in real life. So it's cool they got to do this. They were like really excited to do this scene together and everything like that. So
they were like friends in real life. That's awesome.
It's because of the show too. You know, they didn't really know each other that much, and then obviously the show brought them closer together. So you know, and pandemic, the show and probably mostly the pandemic probably brought them together because you know they were in quarantine and stuff. So I really like this fight scene here. Well, not really a fight scene, more of like a Shauna kicking the shit out of Lottie than a fight scene, I guess. So
I just decided to fight. I think Lottie might have lost.
Yeah, I assume this is a big YouTube thing nowadays. They probably had health bars for this. I assume like Lottie's health bar went down to like.
It like goes into the negative. like the health bar is empty, still going.
Yeah. I like if it was going on.
Quick time event.
Yeah. Yeah. What did you think of this? Kicking the shit out of you know, and everything like that. You know.
I really like it. And again, like you said, I think the music choice is very good. I like that it's not portrayed as like an epic thing. It's like not really sad either, like somber, I guess. You know, like not necessarily sad, just kind of like melancholic. And I like that we get the reactions of like everybody watching this, like all horrified. Very good for Shauna's character. I love that. Again, she's just in such a low point. Like Lottie didn't do anything really to her. Mm-hmm. She was like the one's like most supportive of the baby.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, fucking creeped out by her. But, like, Lottie didn't actually do anything bad to the baby. So for Shauna to just full-on fucking almost kill her really shows the low point. And like I said, I felt bad for Misty because of what happened earlier. So Shauna just, like, taking the blame out on her, I felt bad. But I also understood where Shauna's coming from.
Absolutely. And... yeah, that's the past. I really like the past. I'll give it like, you know, 2 thumbs up. The only thing... actually, I'm going to give it 1 thumb up and a thumb to the side because of fucking Molly. Because she's just, you know, really not good.
Yeah.
I'm
glad it was mainly on the fallout of last episode and, like, the death of Shauna's baby. Like, I'm glad we didn't really get, like, Natalie and Travis drama or, like, anything else. Like, I'm glad it was, like, all because of basically what happened last episode.
Only critique I'll probably give is, like, they should have probably tried to sneak in a quick scene with Javi, just because, you know...
It's like, this is like the one episode where I'm like, okay, we shouldn't have gone Javi. Like, because Javi doesn't really have anything to do with, like, Sean's baby.
Yeah, but he just came back and everything like that. Like, he didn't...
Well, been back for a few episodes now, and they haven't done anything with that. So I'm saying that's more of, like, the previous episode's fault than this one.
Yeah, definitely. So...
I feel like... I don't know why they brought him back now. You know, like, it feels like they brought him back too early.
Or too late.
And, like I said, there's only 2 episodes left, so I'm like, they're not going to be able to do anything with Javi at this point. So I feel like should have just saved Javi coming back for, like, the season 2, like, cliffhanger. And then it's like, okay, we're going to get more in season 3.
Yeah, I would like that, you know.
Because Because again, like Javi, like this is like the one episode where I'm like, I'm glad we didn't get Javi, but it's more so the other episode's fault.
I
that
agree.
We haven't done anything.
I agree. But let's talk about the present. Let's see how the present was, because usually the present really brings the episode down and everything like that. Yeah. But let's see if that happened here and everything like that.
I at first I was actually going to complain about this because a big thing I said before was I'm like, okay, I'm glad we still have like a third of the season left to focus on all the main characters together. The plot points are intersecting. And I was really worried once they're all together, they're going to split them up immediately. And I thought at first was that like, oh shit, no, they're splitting them up. We're not going to get them together. But I actually ended up really liking how they set it up, where they do get split up for like half of the episode. But it's like, it's done in a very good way. We get like a nice introspection on each of the characters individually. And then at the very, then like the second half of them together in the present is like them together interact. So it was kind of like a best of both worlds situation. I'm glad they did it this way.
Me too.
So everybody's at the call and they're kind of just like talking inside. They're all there for their own, kind of therapy. Well, some of them are kind of just like Thaisa is kind of just wants to she doesn't want to be here long. She doesn't want to make this a whole thing.
Which makes sense because, she's just won the Senate office and everything like that, and you probably don't want to get it, she probably can't disappear for too long, because if she goes missing for a few days and stuff, then people are going to raise questions.
Well, I also think it's very consistent because, obviously Thaisa has very much been against therapy this whole time. So, even though she's kind of agreed to come here to, like, deal with a sleepwalking issue, she doesn't want to, like, make it a whole thing. She kind of just wants to, like, deal with the problems, go away. She doesn't want to, like, expand on it. Shauna's kind of in the middle. Van doesn't really want to be here either. We kind of find out more why later. Van's kind of just, like, dismissive of this. Misty is mainly here to investigate the cult. She doesn't really want to do therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And Natalie has done a complete 180 after what happened with Lottie and the Travis revelations, where she's now like, I kind of like that she's changed because of that, but it's like, again, she's a 180, completely different person now.
Yeah, and that because last episode she was very depressed and everything like that. And now here it seems like she's kind of starting to buy into Lottie's bullshit now and everything like that.
She seems like all in on the cult. I do like that she opens up being like, hey, listen, I was going to kill myself. I was going to commit suicide. And then, Lottie kind of like came in and helped me. And everybody else is like, oh, Jesus. Oh, my God, Natalie. Like, I'm so sorry. We didn't know it was that bad. Shauna's ass is probably fucking whistling in the corner being like, doo-doo-doo-doo, like doesn't want to admit that like she bullshitted Natalie and that almost led to her killing herself.
Yeah, I hope they do something with that.
Yeah. And then
there's a big thing. There's a big thing you missed because that was a big rant we had off camera that gets mentioned here.
What?
Everything in the present, apparently that we've seen so far, has been all in the span of a week.
Oh yeah, yeah, right. Because Natalie, it was a very offhanded comment where Natalie says like, a lot's happened over the last week. I'm like, whoa. 1 week? No. Maybe Natalie's plotline. Maybe she's been here a week. Even then, I fucking doubt it. Misty's whole plot of meeting Elijah Wood and interviewing Randy, and all that shit. That was not a week.
Yep.
Plotline, maybe. Whose
plotline?
Thaisa's. Because their wife can. They got into that car accident. She drove through the night. She met Van. I'm like, a week, maybe, sure. Shauna's, fuck no, that has not been a week. Because Shauna's daughter, like Adam went missing, apparently overnight, everybody fucking noticed.
Yeah.
We're investigating it. That undercover cop started dating Shauna's daughter. Shauna's daughter figured it out. Oh, Callie. Her name's Callie. Callie figured it out. They did the whole thing at the hotel room. Then they had the interview after. That was not a week. Okay, that was not a fucking week.
No.
That was like the better part of a month.
Seems like it, yeah.
So, no, that's horseshit.
This
I'm
seems
pretty much on all ends. Thais is like the only one where I'm like, is that a week? I guess. Everyone else is like, nah, I don't buy it. Like, at least 2. For Sean is a month.
Yeah. I think you said Natalie's could have been, but the biggest reasons why it can't be a week is because she just, like I said, if this is a, you really have to buy it. The fact that you really bought it on this card for like a week, after like a week, you can't.
Well, again, and keep in mind, she was not like this yesterday. If she's been here a week, for like 5 or 6 of those days, she was against the call. She was trying to burn it down.
Yeah.
So, I'm like, okay, no, that's horseshit.
Yeah. So,
oh yeah, the timeline for this show is fucked, at least in the present.
Yeah. And like I said, I think we said this too, in a weird way. If they're doing all this shit in a fucking week, maybe they need to be on like life coaches or something like that. If they,
I wish I could be as productive in a week. My God.
yeah. So.
Yeah. Jesus.
I can't believe you almost missed that. By the way, that
Such an offhanded comment. I'm like, oh fuck, I forgot. Yeah.
Because I remember that was the biggest thing you talked about when you first saw this episode. Before I watched it again.
First thing I messaged you about, I was like, no way, it's been a fucking week. Get the fuck out of here.
I feel like RVB and this is gonna be a comparison thing. RVB and YellowJackets, when we do like who did what, they both don't really do the how much time has passed very well.
They're very weird on how much time has passed. Yeah. So they all kind of go to this like little bar area inside. I kind of like this where they're all sitting at the bar. And Lottie's going to explain the therapy that they all have. There's like 4 like therapy-ish words. I don't remember exactly what the fucking words are. But they all like pick a word and they have to do like a therapy session based on that word.
Natalie didn't seem like Natalie didn't have to do this.
But they kind of like all ignore Misty and they all pick one anyway. And then like ignoring Misty's choice. And then Misty ends up like, with like one anyway. Like the whole idea is like Misty's like kind of there and nobody gives a shit.
I think it's funny, Misty, I think you just said this, but Misty picked one, and then like Van picked the same one, and they gave Van like the one Misty wanted, and Misty got like a completely different fucking one. Like,
yeah, that's kind of what I mean, where they're like just kind of dismissive of Misty.
Yeah.
And Van doesn't even end up doing the therapy.
We find out why later, but yeah, she doesn't even do it. Yeah.
How like Misty wanted to do it, then they stuck it on Van and gave Misty something else, and then Van didn't even do the one anyway. So Misty could have gotten that one. They just decided to fuck her over anyway.
Yeah.
I do like Misty claps back though, because she mentions that like, hey Lottie, weren't you like insane in Switzerland or something? And Lottie's like confused. She's like, Switzerland? That was like a decade ago.
Yeah, I guess.
Although that makes me curious. So I thought the whole Switzerland thing was like pretty soon after they got back from the woods. But I guess, because again, it's been like 25 years. So I guess Lottie, like, again, had the electric therapy soon after she got back. Then, for some reason, got sent over to Switzerland for an insane asylum, like in her 30s.
Hey, Dad of the Year, by the way, like I can buy that with how good Lottie's dad, how much of a Dad of the Year.
Again, at that point, she's in her 30s, a grown ass. And her dad's like still sending her to therapy, but like against her will.
Well, I just like to think he's just like, oh, the shock therapy didn't work. I guess it's not. He just throws the tails up in the air, and then like when Lottie became 30, she's like, okay, I'm just gonna go to therapy now and all that type of stuff. Like you didn't send me to therapy. I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna check myself into therapy.
Yeah, but this is very accurate. I feel like to like real life situation where you haven't seen anybody in a while. And, they like bring up the one bad thing they heard about you, like through the grapevine, and you're like confused, like, oh, that was like forever ago. Like, I don't know why you're bringing that up now.
I can tell you this off. That actually happened to one of our cousins recently. We didn't see him for like a while, and we heard like a really weird thing about him that like, because he had like the same name and everything like that, and then
yeah, Ryan, I heard about that.
Yeah, and then like
that was. Yeah, have you guys not seen him in that long?
Well, it was a while, Not a decade, but like,
Because I was like I got told that story like a few years ago, I think.
Yeah, but we hadn't seen him in a while, like before a few years ago, type of thing. So
Yeah, because I haven't seen him since I was like 13. I figured you guys had seen him like, I don't know, within a year.
no, we hadn't seen him in a while. So
Yeah, I heard about that. That's funny. Or it reminds me how when I was up north, everybody was asking me about my Europe trip. And I was like, oh, yeah, that. Yeah, it's great I haven't seen you guys in a while, because that trip was like 2 years ago.
that's right. Yeah, and I had seen you, so like I didn't talk about it with you at all. So
And I'm like, oh, yeah. Because everyone was asking me how was Europe. I'm like, oh, yeah. I was there like a year and a half ago. But yeah, it was nice.
yep.
Yeah. So everybody gets their therapy thing. And that's kind of like half the episode is that. So to go over it. Thais is the quickest. Where Thais's whole thing is she has to paint a barn with like a little paintbrush.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the Fairly Odd Parents episode when Timmy has like Vicky mow the lawn with like a toilet plunger.
That's funny. Yeah, and then Lottie's just kind of walking by. That tends to happen a lot with Lottie, where she just kind of like is walking around, and then like the plot will kind of just like walk up to her and be like, "Hey, Lottie, I have like the plot to discuss with you."
I don't really like that either because like this is like a big place. The fact that they see,
Yeah, it feels like because again, Lottie isn't like coming to check on them. I mean, on one hand, I kind of like it because it shows Lottie's like she's like interacting with other people besides the main characters.
Yeah, but it feels like it'd be better if she was coming up to check on them though, because like
Lottie should be like Lottie kind of approaching them, being like, "Hey, how's it going? Like let's touch base."
Plus, this is a big place. Like the fact that they see Lottie, like
Odds that like Lottie just like happening to like walk by them all the time,
like when Misty checked in, and what a coincidence! Lottie happened to be in that same room when
last episode that was horseshit.
Yeah.
And then Thais is like obviously pissed off. She's like, "Hey, listen, whatever this like the point of this is, like let's cut the bullshit and like just help me with my sleepwalking thing, because the lady in the tree is sometimes in the tree is back." And like you said in the past, it's a very similar conversation where Lottie explains that like, "Hey, listen, like it's not a bad thing that the sleepwalking you is like around. Like she's like kind of in touch with the wilderness. Like she's a part of you. She'll always be a part of you." And Thais is like, very understandably is like upset. Like, no, this thing like wants to hurt my family. And Lottie kind of gives tries to change her perspective a bit, where she's like, maybe that's not her goal, because Thais thinks like, oh, her goal is to fuck with my life, and Lottie's like, no, that might not be the case. Maybe she's just trying to hurt you because like you're trying to suppress her. She's trying to get you to stop.
Which makes sense because that's why Salone's not injured, because she's been trying to like suppress, the lady in the tree and everything like that, and then that she ended up in that car accident and everything like that.
Yeah.
I will say this, I like this scene a lot, but this is where you can really see like, I don't know if they really picked a great casting choice for Lottie in the present, because this person is not.
Past Lottie did a better job of kind of being like ominous, and like she feels like she like knows more than anybody else.
Yeah.
Whereas here, like I like what Lottie's saying, but like it feels more like she's kind of spitballing. Like she's not really sure.
Especially to, yeah. Again, I feel like too, we didn't really get a clear character direction in the beginning. Like with Lottie, like it was a lot of questions. I feel like, I will say this is probably the best present day Lottie episode we've probably gotten. But
yeah.
I feel like you could just really see, because like, yeah, this is definitely not Lottie in the present type of thing. Like, this doesn't feel like the same person from the past. Like, you could make the argument, like, Thais is the same. I guess a better example would be Van. Like, you could I can buy Van would be this way in the present with how she's been and everything like that. So, like, but present day Lottie, I think you said, has been, like, a major, like, like 2 thumbs down. I have not liked present day Lottie. We might differ on that, but I don't really like present day Lottie, so.
Yeah. But like out of all the like the comparisons of past and present, definitely the weakest. And I do like this conversation because, again, I think it makes sense for Taissa that she has been trying super hard. That she sees the sleepwalking thing as solely a negative and wants to just kind of, like, even now, she doesn't really want to do the whole therapy thing. She just kind of wants to, like, because even Simone, when she was trying to get her to do it, she was like, no. But now that she's like, she kind of can't avoid it, she's doing the therapy, but it's kind of like the bare minimum. She just kind of wants to cut to the chase, solve the problem, and, like, move on.
Which isn't how therapy. Which isn't how.
You're like, that's kind of the reason you're in this situation.
Yeah.
It's like you don't want to understand this part of yourself, and like you're just trying to suppress it when like all that's doing is making things worse.
Yeah, because that's not how therapy really works. You really have to take your time with it. That's also like another good example. That's like alcoholism works. Like you can't just stop drinking alcohol like cold turkey. You have to find the problem while you're drinking and everything like that. And
keep in mind, I mean, obviously, I'm not an alcoholic, and I don't have a personality. But like, I'm somebody who, like, and I've never been great on therapy or like talking about my own bullshit. So like, I understand Taissa's like struggle here of kind of wanting to just like cut to the chase and like solve the problem. Like, listen, I don't want to spend a shit ton of time on this. Let's just like deal with it and be done with it and move on.
Yeah.
So I get where Thais is coming from. But I like what Lottie says here about kind of being like, nah, that's kind of why you're in this situation. Like, you need to kind of like stop, understand it, and then kind of, like work with it instead of just trying to get rid of it.
For sure.
Yeah. It's for Taissa's was definitely the shortest.
Well, Van's was the shortest, actually. Van was.
That scene with Taissa is like not really your therapy. It's like later in the day.
Yeah. Well, I like I say, Taissa's was the short. Van's was the shortest, actually. Van's wasn't a thin.
No, sorry, Taissa. Van didn't even do the therapy. I guess I'll talk about this now. It's after the fact. Because, all these scenes are during the day, and this scene with Taissa's at night. Where Taissa's kind of just, like, walking around, I guess. And then she sees Van kind of in that open field from the end of last episode, just drinking. And I guess she, like, like, alcohol isn't allowed in here, obviously, because a lot of these people are here for therapy. Probably not a good idea to have them drinking alcohol. But Van basically kept it in her car and, like, snuck out, got it from her car, and brought it back in.
They didn't do a very good job making sure she didn't. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. Sorry. Well, it's kind of like how Natalie was just shooting that gun last episode. It's like, oh, okay. I don't know why you guys let the suicidal girl shoot the gun, but okay.
Yeah, it's a thing. It happened.
Security here is really bad, apparently.
Yeah, is there even security? So.
Yeah.
But I guarantee if you have your phone, you can't. They'll right on top of that. I guarantee you.
And, yeah. Honestly, listen, that is super fucking accurate to like actual security or like schools or jobs. If you have like some like other bullshit, they'll never find out. But if you use your phone for 2 seconds, they're on you like a fucking hawk.
Yes, they are.
All right. So, Taissa walks up to her. And they kind of shoot the shit, I guess. Obviously Van isn't, like, she just kind of skipped out on her therapy. She's not doing it. And they talk, but, like, it's nothing super important. But then, basically, one thing leads to another, and then they just start, like, making out. And it's kind of just, like a sudden thing. Like, it's not something they both really planned on. They kind of just did it. But then pretty much immediately, they're both, like, realize, like, oh, we'll fuck it up. I will say, though, Taissa's reasoning for, like, so she's like, I'm sorry, like, we can't do this. Taissa doesn't really list her family as a reason why. She's just kind of like, I can't do this right now. Like, I like not a good time for me.
Yeah.
Because I brought that up before when it kind of seemed like Taissa was, like, flirting with Van.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you just almost killed your wife and she's in the hospital on life support. Like, maybe don't flirt with Van.
Yeah, that's why I didn't really like this scene. Like, she's full on, like you know.
Like it seems like she's like wants to get back together with Van, like and like her wife and kid aren't even like a factor.
Right. That's what. Yeah. That's the main reason I don't like the scene. Yeah.
Yeah. And then like Vance like kind of says like, hey, listen, I don't have that kind of time, Ty. And Ty's just kind of being like, no, listen, I would never tell you to like wait for me. Like, I'm sorry if that came off that way. And Vance is like, no, that's not what I meant. It's like I literally do not have the time. And I brought up before where I thought Van had a drug addiction because of the pills. And before I said like I don't think it's like a cancer thing because like that seems kind of random.
Yeah.
No, yeah, enough. I was kind of I was right because it is cancer. Van has cancer. And it's I like the way she says it too, where she's kind of like being like morbidly sarcastic about it. Like you can kind of tell that it's something she's been dealing with for a while.
Right.
Where she's, like how some people say when they have cancer, like, oh, it's the best kind of cancer to have, or like, hey, they caught it early, so like it's not going to be a big deal. And she's like, yeah, no, it's not like that. She has apparently months to live. And I do like this where Thais' actress was like obviously like stunned when she heard this, but she was like very silent. But as soon as Van said months, like Thais' actress just like sobbed. Mm-hmm. She like hooked up. So she did a really good job on that.
Yeah, I agree.
And then Thais is like, oh my god, Van, when were you gonna tell me? And I like Van here. She's like, what the? I was never gonna tell you.
Yeah.
And then Thais is like, why the fuck not? And, Van brings up a good point of like, hey, we don't even know each other anymore. They hadn't talked in years. And Van's, is like, what was I going to do? Like, message you on Facebook? Like, be like, hey, by the way, I'm dying.
Yeah.
Now, I get why Thais is, like, upset. Because, even though they haven't talked to each other in years, with everything they want to, like, she still, like, care, they still care about each other. Like, she doesn't want Van to die.
Yeah, I agree with that, definitely.
With Van, like, I get it. It's like, they haven't talked in years. What was she going to do? Reach out and be like, hey, by the way, I'm dying.
Yeah. That was a good out, too, to not have Van go to the reunion and everything, too. I thought that was, because, they had to make sense out of that and everything like that, too.
Yeah, as a reason. Why, well, also, Van lives apparently far as fuck. So, I get why Van wouldn't want to drive to the reunion.
Yeah. However, though, this scene was pretty, was meaningful and stuff. However, I just couldn't buy in because, like, we made the joke, Van's literally, like, the Kenny of South Park. They've teased, like, killing off Van, like, 2 times now already. And,
Yeah.
And it was pretty morbid ways that, like, she clearly should have died. Like, that, the plane crash, yep, should have died. The wolf attack should have died. I think I've said this, like, Van could have stage 5,000 cancer, and I would still not buy the fact that he's gonna die. Like, Van's gonna live. Like, come on.
Listen, yeah, my great grandfather on my dad's side, he got shot. He got thrown down a flight of stairs. He went to jail and got bitten by a black widow spider. And then he survived all that shit, and then he got cancer and died. So, like, listen, hey, man, fucking, you could survive a million fucking things, and cancer will get you in the end.
That's true, We'll see.
So, it's kind of funny. Van is like my great-grandfather. They're both Kennys.
That's true.
Yeah.
That
I don't feel I'm making fun of him. He was in the mafia.
That's true. But, we'll see, though. We'll see if cancer would be the... Honestly, if Van beats cancer, they can never tease or he'll kill off again. No one will take that seriously.
At that point, it's just immortal.
Yeah. It's like, it's... Honestly, the way that the way this scene came off here, it's like that scene when we found out Donut was alive, when, like, they were like, I thought you were dead, and then Saul was just like, I feel like we need to stop saying that, because, like, that happened a lot.
Good point.
But yeah, we'll see. We'll see if the cancer gets Van, We'll see. What's Van's health bar right now, you think? We talked about Lottie's health bar at the end of the past. What do you think of Van's?
He is always at like 5%. She is always on the verge of death, but they can never get her down to 0.
Yeah, there you go.
That's kind of it for Thais until they merge together. Definitely the least screen time here. And again, I like to see with Lottie, but like the Van scene, I like it from Van. Again, not a huge fan of her having cancer. I think her being a drug addict would have been more interesting.
It felt like, too, they did the cancer thing, too, to kind of maybe try to get, like, Taissa. Because I don't really...
Yeah, it feels it's going to be a way to get them together.
I don't even think there was really no reason for Van to tell her. Like, Van should have just said, like, no, like, why are you doing this? You have a wife. You put your wife in the hospital. Like, what?
Yeah, and that's the thing. I'm mad Taissa is, like, not bringing that up. Like, Taissa apparently, like, just does not feel bad about all the horrible shit she's done to her wife.
And, like, it seemed like Van told her this to, like, make Taissa, like, think about whether they should get together. Like, why are you doing this? Like, just say it to that, you know. It seems like they seemed like they wanted to give Van, like, her own plot. There was, like, again, there was really no reason for, you know, there was legit no reason for Van to even, like, say, she could have legit not said anything, like, and just
it seems like they're doing the whole cancer thing to make us feel bad for Taissa and Van. But with the way they're acting, they just come off as scumbags, you know? Yeah.
Like, dude, honestly, I really hope that Simone wakes up from the car accident, because that would be, honestly, I'd be like, the way you reacted to, like, recast Kobe in there, that would be the way I react if, like, Simone wakes up from, like, you know.
Oh, Simone, deserves it. Yeah. But then we have Shauna's plot.
So to kind of give my thoughts on the Taissa scenes, it gets like a thumbs in the middle, almost going, like, all the way down because of this fucking, the fact that
it's the weakest of the three for sure.
Yep.
And I say three because Natalie doesn't really have much this episode, unfortunately.
No, both Natalies didn't.
Yeah, you're right. And what we did get of Natalie, again, like I said, I'm not a fan of how she just did a complete 180. Yeah. So, Shauna's plot. So she has been tasked with carrying a goat around all day. And, you know, she thinks it's going to be some, like, okay, I get it. You want me to carry around, you know, like, have me get all attached to it. And then, again, at the end of the day, you're going to have me kill it or something. And everybody just kind of, like doesn't answer her question.
I do like this, though, because I think that's because typically it's a typical plot they do anyways in, like, movies and TV, so I kind of like that they brought that up because, you know.
I feel like that's how I would be, I'd be trying to guess, like, what the fuck the moral of this is, you know? Like, and that would be my first assumption is, like, oh, okay, I get it. You want me to care about it and then kill it. Like, that's the point, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she kind of carried around. She keeps her, like, pawning it off on the dude. Be like, listen, I don't want to do this. Like, take it. But, like, I don't know how to take care of a goat. And at one point, she just, like, ties it to something, but, like, it gets away, and she has to, like, look around for it.
Yeah.
In the woods, and then she comes across Misty because Misty was, like, you know, split off from her therapy, which I'll get to. And I like this. I like that, like, they didn't wait till, like, the, you know, later to have all of them interact. Like, it was nice to have, you know, like, Misty and Shauna talk, because obviously, you know, Taissa talked to Van and Lottie. Shauna talks to Misty. She's going to talk to Lottie soon. Like, I'm glad that they are still, like, interacting somewhat, you know, before they actually all get together.
Yeah, I like that.
And they kind of have a talk about, you know, what happened with Adam. Where Shauna, you know, is, like, you know, again, kind of blowing Misty off. And Misty kind of confronts her a bit, being like, hey, listen, like, I, like, am helping you with, like, you know, a lot of your shit, you know, like, you know, and,
not well.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, really not well, because they knew Adam was gone after fucking 2 hours, and as we're going to find out at the very end of this episode, didn't do a good job hiding his body parts. Now, Shauna brings up a kind of a good point, where she's like, hey, Misty, I'm going to judge you on your hobbies a little bit, because my hobby, like, your hobbies come off as, like, a serial killer hobbies, you know, like, that you know how to, like, hide bodies and, like, shit like that. Misty kind of, you're not much better than me, dude. You know, because, again, you stabbed your boyfriend, like, for no fucking reason. And, like, my hobbies, like, kind of helped you, you know, keep you out of jail.
I do like this.
What's your response to that?
I do like this.
She's kind of just, yeah, like, I'm not really that much better than you.
I do like this, though, because some of these scenes are meant to be made for comedy and stuff, because obviously, like, Misty's making a whole joke out of Shauna killing Adam, but it's, like, because, You know, because from what Misty knows, you know, she thinks, you know, Adam was the blackmailer and everything like that. But obviously, like, Sean is, you know, being defensive because obviously she ended up because she killed Adam thinking he was the blackmailer and everything like. But she ended up just killing someone when she found out she killed some random dude. So it's kind of like she's being like, you know, she's trying to not really talk about it type of thing and all that type of stuff. So I like that.
Yeah. Well, I kind of just like that. Like Shauna was trying to kind of like give Misty shit, and then Misty kind of clapped back a bit on her. Like, don't get me wrong, Misty's a psycho, but Shauna's not really one to like, you know, be pointing fingers. As
you've mentioned before in these reviews.
Yeah. So, Shauna finally stumbles across the goat. You know, basically he like chewed through the rope that, you know, his leash or whatever. And then eventually she goes up to Lottie, because again, Lottie was just kind of, up, as always, like walking around apparently.
I would have mentioned the guy that like gave her this goat. Like I know he kept saying like the goat's under your care for the day, but like this dude was really helpless as a background character, because this goat could have been like shot in the freaking throat and hacking up like blood, and this guy was just gonna throw his hands up in the air and be like, "Nope, you're okay, or you're okay, or nope."
Your problem.
Like,
yeah, he's really like, and again, the whole thing is like Sean is trying to guess, like, oh, okay, this is gonna have like a morbid end, right? You're gonna have me kill it, and he's like, he's not answering one way or the other. He's just like, it's in your care.
I do kind of like, because we have had conversations about this before. It's like when you start a new job and then they just don't tell you nothing type of thing. So
really what I'm the last week and a half, where I'm like, I have a million questions and then just figure it out. I'm like, okay, thanks.
Yeah, that's what this guy. Hey, I feel like if you got put in the situation with this guy, you'd be fucking yelling at him because you'd be able to and everything.
Oh my god. Yeah. Yeah, she goes up to Lottie, and she's like, hey, listen, like I cannot take care of this goat, or you know, like if you're gonna have me kill it or whatever, like just, you know, let's get it over with. But then Lottie tells her basically like no, like you don't have to kill it. Like it's in your care. Like the whole message is supposed to be like, you know, it's like it's kind of like the goldfish thing with Fork Girl, where you know, it's just you, like, you know, you're taking care of another life.
Mm-hmm. And it was really fit Shauna's plot.
Yeah, Shauna starts to cry when she realizes, like, you know, like she was assuming the worst, but like no, like it's okay, like it works out, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, but Shauna pretty much says like, yeah, I'm not crying about the goat. And I like they don't explicitly say, like mention Shauna's baby.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because it's kind of one of those things where like we talk about, like where it's like, it'd be annoying if like all of a sudden, like, you know, we like they're being very cryptic because we don't know something in the past. But then when it's revealed in the past, then they stop talking cryptically about it because now the audience knows.
Right.
I like that they're being consistent, like where they don't explicitly say, like, oh hey, I was you know, I was worried about the goat because my baby died and all that shit, you know. Like, she doesn't explicitly say that, you know? Like, she's still kind of dancing around it like she did before.
It's like at the end when we find out Carolina's the director's daughter. Once we get that reveal, they don't explicitly, like, start calling each other, like...
Calling each other, like, you know, daughter, father. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of like that.
Yeah, exactly. Because, you know, obviously, you know, all the past stuff happened for these guys, like, a long time ago. Like, we're only just finding out about it now. Yeah. So it'd be really weird if all of a sudden Shauna was like openly talking about her son, when before she would like never do that.
Mm-hmm.
But she talks about Callie, and this kind of saves Shauna a bit in my eyes, because I remember I was giving her a lot of shit for her interrogation, where she was just full on like, yeah, I don't love Jeff or my daughter. And in here she's kind of explaining that like she's always been worried about what will happen to Callie, that like Callie will die, you know, and obviously the reason is because of what happened to her son. So she's always kept Callie at like arm's length.
Yeah, that makes sense. You know.
Yeah, I get that. So it's not that she doesn't love Callie; it's just like she's afraid to love her, essentially.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense with what happened with her son and everything like that. So the
scope therapy was good for her, you know, to kind of, kind of reassure her that, like, hey, listen, not everything that you care about will get ripped away from you,
I liked that a lot. Yeah, and I wonder if I hope this therapy isn't just a one-off. Like this actually, like changes. Not
yeah. Shauna and Callie meet. Shauna's like more, affectionate for her daughter.
Yeah, I agree.
I'll say that again. They pick these therapies at random. So if this was what are the odds that Shauna gets this one?
Yeah, that is weird. Yeah,
Imagine Misty got this one and Shauna got the other one. I feel like it wouldn't be as effective.
Not at all. I mean, they did say speak whenever it calls out to you, but yeah, that is kind of weird that because Shauna picked this one. So
well, they said it's like do whatever speaks out to you, but again, they kind of just like bullshitted it. They're kind of just like this one, I guess, And
again, Missy didn't even get the one that Missy ended up getting.
Pick their therapies in the same way I pick my cereal in the morning. They kind of just do eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Yep.
But yeah, that's it for Shauna's plotline, pretty much. What do you think of it?
I liked it a lot. I hope it's not just a one-off. I hope Shauna actually learned something from this type of thing. Because the big thing about the even though the church and the Epsilon unit, at the end, it kind of, when he confronts the director, I didn't really feel like, we didn't really get much of what church learned of the Epsilon unit until that moment. I kind of hope throughout the show, runtime, we kind of see that they don't always have to come back to this, but I kind of hope this, that we get something from this.
I hope it's not like now Sean is like the best mother ever. But I hope this is kind of like the start of that change,
Yeah, type of thing.
Probably the best of the plots in this episode, I feel like, until they all kind of come together at the end, because that's my favorite. But of the individuals, this is one of my favorite.
Was this interesting? I wasn't sure how you were gonna feel. Wait, the Shauna one or the Misty one?
The Shauna one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
it's probably my favorite. I'm interested.
Yeah, and Misty.
I'm interested what you think about the Misty one, because I will say this now, when this episode came out at the time, this one was very divisive. Some people loved it, some people hated it.
I don't know how to feel about it.
That was also another thing to think, so.
So, Misty is with Fork Girl, and basically there's I don't know how to describe it. It's like a metal cellar door, I guess is the best way to put it. But it leads to a little pool. I'm describing it really badly. But that's I don't know how else to describe it.
It's it's
a little go in and you just sit in a tub of water, basically.
Yeah, it's I guess maybe the best place is an ice bath, but not an ice, is the best, what's the thing? It's like that, it's a big thing that athletes do now with the cold plunge. It's like a cold plunge without ice. That's what it's like, I would say.
And, Misty's kind of doing what Tyson and Shauna were doing. They're kind of just trying to, ask questions and, guess what the point is. Where Misty's am I locked in? How does this work? And it's nice to see Fork Girl interact with, people besides Natalie. Because I feel like that's the problem I have with the Yellow Jackets. Is that certain characters will only interact with certain people.
Same.
So obviously Fork Girl is not she doesn't know anything about Misty, and Misty doesn't know anything about Fork Girl. But it's kind of nice that they just are talking to each other.
Yeah.
And Fork Girl seems kind of done with Misty's bullshit, because Misty's asking a bunch of questions, and Fork Girl's yeah, okay, great, just get in.
The biggest BS I thought was kind of bullshit was when Forko mentions to Misty that you've been here a day and you haven't engaged in any therapies yet. Bitch, what are you talking about? Natalie was there a few days and didn't do any therapies for a few days. What the hell are you talking about?
And also, Misty was at the when everybody was doing the singing and whatever the fuck.
I guess she didn't know about that.
I guess not. Well, then Misty should have said, actually, I did go. And Fork Girl would have been I see, never mind. I shall shove a fork in my mouth and shut up.
Well, yeah.
Good old Fork Girl. Yeah. So, and then Misty like kind of sneaks away and then talks to Shauna. And then goes back, I guess. Yeah, they really only had Misty sneak away. Like, the reason Misty snuck away was kind of doing what Natalie was doing before and, like, trying to investigate. Much like Natalie, nothing really came of it. She just kind of, like, talked to Shauna and then, like, went back, I guess.
Yeah, because she doesn't really seem to want to investigate no more once she does the therapy and stuff, so... Good thing, can you imagine OVB,
Hey.
they were trying to find the director, and then Caroline just went, nah, fuck it, we're not going to find the director no more. We're done.
Hey, you know what? Yeah, we're dropping this plot line. That's the end of season 10, guys. And then we jump into season 11, and we just I guess we never find out. You would have fucking hated that show if we never found out what happened to the director. You would have been like, fuck Red versus Blue.
Honestly, you joke about that, but that probably would have happened, honestly, because like
I would have been the same way. You know, if they built all that up and they're like, nah.
Or it'd be actually, I think if they went the Natalie, especially when they went the Natalie approach, when they fucking found what the director was, and they just like, yeah, fuck it, we're not gonna. I don't really want to go look for him now, type of thing. Like it's done.
Yeah, because they did find the director, and then they didn't kill him. So you know that's kind of what happened, but like more meaningful, obviously.
Right. But no, but I'm saying like if they, because I remember like they had built up what Natalie was gonna go into that room, and then nothing.
Those were like, no, we don't want to do that. And Carolina was just like, you know what? You guys are right. Let's not go.
Yeah.
You know, like, if that's how that happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, Fork Girl is kind of annoyed with Misty still, and it's just like, listen, go in and nobody will care. Which is like, wow. Well, it's kind of weird. It's like the way she says it is she's kind of trying to make it seem like there's no like trick to like the therapy. Like it's very straightforward.
Not the case with what Misty goes fucking through. Like I don't.
Yeah, like the way it's said, it's like it's obviously very personal to Misty. That like obviously nobody really gives a shit about Misty being there.
Mm-hmm. I do think it's. I would definitely not do this therapy because I mean I'm not claustrophobic, but this thing's like fuck this. I'm not going in there type of thing. Like this thing's like,
Yeah, I feel like I'd be like Misty, where I'm like, is it locked from like, can I knock it out?
Yeah. But like, yeah, I mean, it'd be relaxing to go in there, but like,
I probably wouldn't go in.
Honestly, this would be like, I'd probably just sit in there and just be like chilling type of thing. Just like, yeah, this is,
I think they work really quickly. I'd just be like sitting there and like splashing water a little bit, and I'd be like, all right, well, I'm done. Like,
it'd be like the Patrick Star thing where like in his dream, he needs like a quarter to like use his horse, and he was just sitting there like, I'd just be sitting there chilling,
Yeah, yeah. I'd be there for like 5 minutes, and I'd be like, all right, I'm done.
That's a good therapy.
Yeah.
You realize half of these people could have just bullshitted their therapy. Shauna could have just like, I mean, I know Shauna tried to bullshit her therapy, but Shauna could have just like, watched the goat. Just honestly, Shauna really could have just mucked up the stall all day and just been done. I would have taken that alternative. I mean, it would fucking suck, but like that's probably better than taking care of a goat just mucking up the stalls. And like Thaisa could have just painted that fucking, bone, and then I mean, I know Van didn't do hers.
Not that one, because she literally had like a paintbrush. I would have like maybe asked for something a little bigger to paint with.
Yeah.
By the way, we never actually see Thaisa paint it. So did she, after she had the talk with Lottie, did she have to go back to painting it?
Yeah, I would say so.
Is that why it was nighttime with the scene with Van?
Yeah.
Thaisa spent the whole rest of the day painting.
Yeah, why not? Hey, that could be another way, by the way. The director could have tortured the Alpha, by the way. Paint this.
Yeah, well, just having him paint the barn wall with Thaisa with a paintbrush. I can see that.
Yeah, that's a...
Yeah.
But yeah, let's talk about Misty's little thing, when she goes in there and everything like that.
And then all of a sudden, she just starts having, like, mushroom... Like, again, it's Doom coming all over again, where everybody's fucking hallucinating. Well, this is, like, kind of... I think meant to be comedic, because, at the end, this is, I think the idea of this therapy is, like, you're kind of alone with your thoughts and in like, an isolated place. You can kind of, like, kind of think about stuff.
Yeah.
But, like, because she's kind of crazy. Like she just has like this whole weird ass vision.
It was very much a vision, yes.
So she, I don't even know how to describe it. She like imagines herself in like a ball gown, and she's like having a kind of a comedic phone call with like Elijah Wood, who's like dressed in a tuxedo, and they're kind of like a like 1940s serial like couple. I guess, you know, like the way they're like talking on the phone, it's kind of like a romantic comedy, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't even know how to fucking describe this. And then like, you know, because you know, she's like having trouble talking to Elijah Wood. So she talks to Caligula, but like, you know, not the bird. It's like a real ass dude who's like dressed as a bird. Man, this guy's earning his paycheck dressing that way.
What I liked about this too is the actor they got for this, when they were talking about how they were gonna do this like creatively, they wanted to get this actor's like, well, why don't we give it a shot? And like, I guess this is meant to be a big actor, but I don't know who the fuck he is. Like, I've never seen him before, so I guess that's one thing about the YellowJackets, like writers and stuff. I feel like they get these people and like and they know who they are. Then I look at them like, I don't know who you are. That's just like that songwriter they got for like that for the person who performed the YellowJackets song. It's like, oh, this is a really big, you know, song performer and everything like that. It's like, I don't know who this is. It's never met.
Well, you know, because speaking of big actors, you know, Elijah Wood, we didn't see him like at all last episode, so he's back, kind of in a vision.
You could say,
I don't know.
You could say he's an AI. You could say, you know, Misty had some surgery to get an AI put in here, type of thing.
Yeah. He's living in her head rent free, much like Sigma was for Maine.
Well, you know what's funny? There's a part in this when she's going through this vision, and you know, because I just watched RVB season 10 before this. You see, there's a part where Walter / Elijah Wood's on her shoulder. I'm like, yeah, he's an AI.
Comparison, and then but like Caligula, like the bird, is like. You know, he's like kind of like a Hollywood star. Like he's like, you know, in like a dressing room, like looking in the mirror, doing makeup, you know, like puffing his cheeks. And he's kind of like giving Misty a rundown of what her flaws are. Where basically like Misty feels like, you know, she's just somebody so desperate for love and like she's always been kind of the outsider. Which, you know, is true. She was like the outsider of like the team before the plane crash, when they were out in the woods, and even now, you know, like she's like always been like the outsider of the group, but she's like desperate to like have her friends care about her.
Mm-hmm.
And Caligula kind of like reassures her, being like, "Hey, listen, you know your friends need you, even if they don't appreciate you. You know, like they wouldn't have gotten this far without you."
Yep. Well, and I don't know about that,
like,
but okay.
Kind of thing.
Huh?
And like tells her like to be more confident in yourself, because like again. Trying to tell her, like, hey, you don't need to be so desperate for love, you know?
Yeah. But again, I don't know about that, about saying, like, your friends wouldn't have gotten this far without you. I'm like, I mean...
Well, like, I feel like a lot of this is, like, Misty projecting, like, Misty telling herself what she wants to hear.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is intentional. Where kind of, like, Lottie was there to kind of, like, give Lottie, Tyson, and Shauna, like... the kind of the words they needed to hear, whereas again nobody really cares about Misty, so nobody's kind of there to give Misty that kind of like push in the right direction.
Yeah,
which again is kind of sad. Like obviously Misty's a psycho, but like I feel kind of bad that like, you know, Tyson and Shauna aren't much better, but like, you know, they have people who can kind of point them in the right direction, whereas nobody cares about Misty enough to like do that for her.
I mean, Misty didn't even get to choose this therapy. Lottie chose this therapy for her, type of thing. So
exactly. At least the others like kind of got to choose, even if they didn't know what it meant.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Misty kind of comes out of the water tank, like satisfied, and like she had that epiphany of you know, she's gonna kind of like, you know, like, because, you know, basically Elijah Wood sought her out, you know, like her whole life she's been seeking love desperately, but you know, Elijah Wood came to her and like was like wanting to be with her, you know, so she's kind of should accept that.
I liked that, yeah.
And I kind of like this, because obviously, in this episode and in the past, Misty was like looking for Crystal's body, and she had to get Ben off that ledge. So I kind of like that idea of like Misty kind of not wanting to push Elijah Wood away now.
And I feel like the biggest thing that they got out of this was they didn't really do, they got Elijah Wood, but they didn't really do anything. They didn't really do anything to make his time worthwhile. This kind of makes his time like worthwhile. Like this makes like that,
I still don't know what to make of Elijah Wood because, again, I feel like he has ulterior motives. And
I'm wondering too if these ulterior motives. Is this what if they actually are ulterior motives? What will Misty think when because now she wants to pursue a relationship with him and everything like that? What will Misty think if he backstabs her or something like that type of thing?
Yeah. But again, it's like we only have 2 episodes left, so I'm like, I don't know how much more. It's kind of like the Hobby thing, where I'm kind of like, you didn't really spend enough time with them, so I don't know what you can do with them at this point, aside from just set stuff up for next season.
And again, I feel like too because the comparison we can make between this and LVB wasted no fucking time. Immediately you knew you got Elijah Wood, you made his time worthwhile. Like the Yellow
with Sigma was awesome and it had a point.
Yeah, and we haven't really gotten that with Elijah Wood and YellowJackets yet, type of thing. Yeah. So, and again, you don't get a big actor like that and not make his time worthwhile and everything like that. So. I did like this Misty scene, though. I know a lot of people didn't like it. It's unlike anything else you really see in YellowJackets.
Not like in a Doom coming trippy. It's right. It's just it's
yeah.
It's kind of funny in a way because it's just so out there.
I think it was paced out very well because we were having a lot of depressing scenes with the baby and stuff, and I like that the scene. I think it came at a good time too because. It was right before the Ben scene. I feel so that made it stand out, and it was also after Shauna was coming to terms with Callie and stuff. And no, actually, I think it was before that or after. I'm not exactly remember. But then it was before we found out Van had cancer. They didn't put the scene out. If they put the scene after the Ben scene, I'd be like, "What are you doing here? That was really not the right time to do this scene." But I feel like they paced the scene out very well because we needed kind of a pick me up because we were just getting all depressed and everything like that. So I feel like they made this scene really stand out. But did it at a good time where it wasn't out there a big dramatic scene where what the fuck was this doing here and all that type. It was kind of if you remember that scene with Wash and when North and York are talking about the Alpha and stuff, and then you have this weird scene with Wash that didn't really have anything to do with anything. This scene really didn't feel that
goofy while they're having a serious conversation. Yeah.
So this scene I thought was
where she goes to the phone in the kitchen where she called Thaisa last episode and calls Walter and basically makes the confession of hey, I want to be with you too. Curious if anything will come of that. If we'll get Elijah Wood next episode. If he'll be hot off the set of Lord of the Rings and Red vs. Blue.
Yeah, he didn't answer the phone. It went to voicemail immediately. So I wonder if that means something.
Yeah, if he's yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of it for Misty's plotline. And then they all meet up later that night.
Well, you're missing Lottie. Lottie's big. We had a big thing with Lottie here.
Oh, yeah, right, sorry. Well, yeah, Lottie. I remember I brought it up before with the therapist where we didn't see the therapist. And this made me curious if this wasn't real. Because I remember, Lottie normally has to make an appointment. So Lottie saying here, and before, oh, thank you for seeing me on such short notice. And we didn't see the therapist, so it was making me think, oh, maybe this isn't actually a therapist. This is, in Lottie's head, and she thinks she's, at a therapy session.
Because the last one we saw was only in the therapist POV. We didn't even see the therapist, at all, the last time.
That made me think it wasn't actually a therapist. And then here we get the therapist, but like it's a different room from before.
Mm-hmm.
And Lottie's kind of saying like, this isn't a coincidence. Well, it's the same thing as before, where like she's like this, it's Natalie's here and all now Misty's here. This is like strange, and now same thing where she's like, all the people from the past are here with me now. Like, like what am I gonna do? And the therapist is like giving some pretty not great advice, where she's basically saying like, what hunt doesn't have a few sacrifices or something like that, to that effect.
Mm-hmm.
And Lottie says like, are you saying what I think you're saying? And then it cuts back to the therapist, and it's the Antler Queen basically saying like, egging Lottie on that, to make a sacrifice essentially, to kind of finish what Travis started.
Yeah, this was interesting. This was a really cool reveal because you'll get to this when we saw these therapist sessions. We hadn't seen like.
I think the first one was real.
Yes,
but I think the second one and this one obviously aren't.
But like when we find out that these were fake, what I did like about it is we never like saw this side of the room at our office before this, so like we didn't even know what this room was. We just thought it was a real therapist session these last two times, and I do like that we found out about these, and the little behind the scenes here, because the Lottie's actress kind of talked about these, how all the 3 therapy scenes had different directors for it, which makes sense because I think the last few episodes we've done had a different director. Because the director Church didn't direct any of these, that wouldn't have been good.
But something along the way.
Huh?
I said he would have tortured something along the way.
Yeah.
He also would have everybody's faces.
He wouldn't have had. Yeah. True. Well, he didn't have. Well, he didn't. Hey, maybe he directed the second one because we didn't see.
He had the therapist scene.
Yeah.
He was playing the therapist. That's why we didn't see their face.
Yeah. But yeah, so and like each director gave like a different tone, and even like the actors kind of really didn't know much of like what was going on. So I really like this. But I like this though. And I do like that I just like the way the reveal happened and everything like that, where we found out that like the last couple of therapist scenes weren't real, and like again, we hadn't seen that side of Lottie's office, and I think that gave it more inclination that it, because we didn't even see that side of the room. We hear Lisa / fourth girl like knock on the door and be like, "Hey, Miss Matthews, what's going on?" and all that type of stuff. So I really like how the reveal happened. Where it was very natural how we found out that they were at the same place and everything like that. And like Lottie even goes over and like notices like the therapist isn't there and everything like that. So this was really cool. And we never really got to see what Lottie and Lisa's little conversation they had. They just cut away from that. So I guess whatever she needed wasn't that important, I guess. So that's not good. We needed to know that. So
well, yeah, the Antler Queen, that was something where we saw in the flash forward / flashback in the first episode, Misty was wearing that ornament. And we saw Lottie in the past like have visions of it, but this is our kind of and obviously it's like a shit ton of promotional YellowJacket stuff. It has the Antler Queen,
yeah,
or like the headset of it. But this is like our first time seeing it like actually like full display.
Yes,
and again obviously it's not real because Lottie's having like a vision of it. But I think you mentioned that like the Antler Queen, like something about it was like the name was like a fan name, and the creators kind of went with it.
Yes.
So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I like that they went with it.
I don't think they called her the Antler Queen yet, but I think like in the subtitles that's what she's called.
Right. I kind of hope they never say the name of like the Antler Queen. I kind of hope it's just like something that the fans have, but the characters themselves never say it, type of thing. So, but I like this scene a lot, it just shows that Lottie's really struggling to keep it together and everything like that. So, I wish we got this earlier, where like that way we would get kind of more of a gist of what Lottie's character was like. Because if we got this stuff earlier, I probably like Lottie's character a lot better in the present. But that was not what happened. So it's just what happened.
Yeah. So yeah, that scene ends, and it's pretty ominous. It makes me wonder, like, oh shit, what's Lottie gonna do now that everybody's gathered? Does she plan to like kill one of them or all of them, or like what's she gonna do? But because she seems to have fun in this the next scenes with them. Natalie kind of gathers them together after their therapy, and she's like talking about like all the spiritual bullshit. And again, this is really weird for Natalie. This is completely 180. Yeah, and it's kind of funny because characters aren't really buying into it. We see, like Van is still drinking that bottle of like vodka or whiskey or whatever, and then she just kind of like passes it to the others. Like Shauna takes a swig, then hands it to Misty, and then she kind of turns around and takes a swig. I do like that, because a big thing is Misty's always been left out. I do kind of like, they don't leave Misty out of this. They let like Shauna passes Misty the bottle to like chug.
Yeah, I like that.
And then Natalie's kind of like, oh, guys, come on, like, take this seriously. And then, even though I don't like what the 180 Natalie's done, I do like that Natalie, like, isn't going for drinks, like, because obviously she's a recovering addict.
Yes, I like that.
Yeah, so I do like that she's, like, saying no to the alcohol. But they all kind of just start, like, having fun, really. They all kind of gather around. Lottie joins them, and they, even get Lottie to kind of cut loose a bit, because of course Lottie now is like the, head of the cult. She has like an appearance to keep up, but Lottie kind of cuts loose, and they all kind of have fun. They dance around a little bit. They drink.
Not a great idea if you're having visions though and stuff to be drinking alcohol. But Lottie,
yeah, it's another reason why Lottie was kind of hesitant at first. She's like obviously not in a good headspace, but they kind of get Lottie to kind of have fun.
And Lottie doesn't mention that to anybody because Lottie doesn't.
I mean, why would she? Again, she had her like one normal conversation with the therapist. Now she's good for the next decade. That's why she was in Switzerland. She had her one conversation.
Yep.
And then she's good for the next decade.
Yeah.
Yep. I would like to think, because she was in Switzerland, she had her conversation with somebody who didn't understand English.
That'd be awesome.
Yep.
And she did it in French.
Exactly. And, yeah, you're right. In French, and she doesn't even know French.
Yeah.
She's that dedicated, properly conveying French.
Yep.
We get a little montage of everybody kind of having fun, and like I said, this is kind of what I wanted for a long time, was just seeing all the main characters together. Interacting with each other. And they're all kind of just having fun, and it's nice. It's one of those moments of levity that we don't really get often, and it makes these moments all the better, when we do finally get them.
And this stood out because when they were cutting back from the past and the present, we saw the opposite. This was when Shauna was beating the shit out.
Yeah, Shauna beating the shit out of Lottie, and now we're seeing them present day getting along and all kind of gathered together.
I think a cool thing was like they were like talking about like the plane crash and stuff, and like they were like wondering like, does anyone really?
It was gonna bring it up like a nice story. She was like, "Oh hey, remember that first summer when?" And everybody's like, "Whoa, okay, don't bring that up." I get that. That is another example of them kind of keep leaving Misty as the outcast. Because, Misty starts to talk about Walter and how she's, like, kind of, like, in love with him.
Yeah.
And everyone's kind of, like, giving her shit a bit, where Van's like, does he know about their relationship? And Tysa kind of has to, like, elbow her.
Yeah.
Well, I like this, where Misty is, like, trying to bring up, like, trying to change the subject. And, like, she's like, Natalie slept with Kevin. And everybody's like, old news, old drama. We already know about that. And Natalie's like, oh yeah, well, I bet you liked that, huh, Misty? Because you watched. And they're like, everybody's like, whoa, what do you mean Misty watched? And they kind of just brush past it.
Right. I think what I liked about that though, when they mentioned like, does anyone really remember? Because obviously, like, we're actually seeing it in real time, like, and they don't really remember it much. So it's like, wow, okay, so this is
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was going to bring that up because, it was lighthearted at first. And then when Misty tries to tell a nice story about it and they kind of cut her off. And yeah, and then like you said, they kind of bring up how a lot of it's kind of a blur. They like it was such a big. This is really cool, where it's such a big moment, a big part of their lives. 18 months they were out there, but it's been so long, and a lot, it all blended. It all blends together for them, and even though it's so prevalent in their lives, I think it makes sense that they all kind of try not to think about it.
Exactly.
Like it's kind of like they kind of created a wall for that part of their memory where they really try to shut it out, whatever they recall something.
Which I don't know if that's the best thing, because they did, as we saw in season 1, they did have some nice moments out there. So it'd be nice if,
Well, it's like what Lottie said about the sleepwalking, where, yeah, I know you don't like it, but it's a part of you, and I feel like just trying to brush past it, isn't really doing you any favors.
Yep.
Which, I mean, that's kind of what we're seeing. They haven't been able to really talk about it for decades. And now they're kind of making progress for the first time in years, now that they're kind of around people they can talk about it with.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I kind of like that. And I don't even really remember how the episode ends, actually. Sorry, the phone call. But yeah.
And I did it started snowing, and they saw it as a positive in the present, which I thought was a good contrast, because obviously in the past, that was a big negative, and when it stopped snowing in the past, it was a positive, so.
Yeah, I like that comparison. But basically, the good times are cut short, because Shauna gets a phone call, and she goes to the kitchen where the phone is. Apparently, all the phone calls for this big-ass cult go are for this one kitchen.
How do they get them? Does someone just hang out by the kitchen and wait for the fucking phone to win? I wonder how that works.
I don't know, because again, Misty it seemed like she had to in for two phone calls. Fuck, I'm tired because I'm slurring my words.
And I'm losing. Oh, there it is. I was losing my voice, and now I got it back. So there you go.
We're almost at the end. But yeah, Shauna gets a phone call from her good old husband,
Jeff.
I don't know why I was blanking on his. I was wanting to call him Kevin, but I knew that wasn't his name. Yeah, Jeff. It's funny because Jeff's one of my favorite characters. I don't know why I was blanking on his name. But I do like this where Jeff calls Shauna and he wants to warn her, but because he doesn't want to be stupid. With the police, obviously have been spying on them. He's trying to save this phone call in the least obvious way he can.
Yeah.
Where he's like, "Hey, Shauna, that guy you got in that car accident with? Well, I just wanted to inform you that the police have found his remains buried in the park."
Yep.
So he's trying to say it in the most neutral way he can, but also warning her.
Yeah, and this makes sense because obviously he probably realized the police he's probably thinking the police have tapped their phones and all that type of stuff.
Right. He also can't just not tell Shauna. He has to warn her, so he's kind of trying to do the best he can.
I mean, obviously,
he's kind of not good at it. Again, I feel bad for Jeff. Jeff is a normal ass guy, just thrown into this crazy situation. He's trying to just do the best he can.
Thrown into it, he caused the situation, kind of. So.
Oh, yeah, true. But it just snowballed. Well, again, it's kind of like when he confronted Kevin at the gym, where he fucked up by doing that, and he kind of realized right away he fucked up.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. I like that Jeff is not good at this. He's trying his best. It's realistic how he's trying.
Yeah, I feel like that's a lot of.
I can't give him too much credit because he did fucking start this whole bullshit. I
do think it's kind of weird though. The reason that you and I both like Jeff is the reasons why a lot of the fan base don't like Jeff. But I actually like Jeff for this one.
Normal ass guy in this situation, I feel bad for him.
Yeah, so that was kind of the cliffhanger, which I liked. I like that they left it with a cliffhanger because obviously the whole setup of this season has been kind of what's the murder of Adam, and now that the police know about it, stuff. It's oh shit, what's gonna.
Yeah, because I was bitching about Javi and Elijah Wood, where we haven't really gotten enough of them where they can really do anything in the next 2 episodes. I think they're going to be more season 3 stuff. Whereas with this, this is probably going to be wrapped up by the end of the season. like I don't know how they could continue the Adam plot into season 3. So I think the next 2 episodes will mainly be about whatever's going on with Lottie, her schizophrenia, and the Adam murder.
How do you feel about that? Like we won't be talking about Adam much. You know, that was a big meme in season 1 now, and
I know. Where old Adam always around the corner. Well, that's exactly what happened here. Shauna was having a good time the first time with her for a long time. And then, Adam was like, okay, I'm going to have his ghost is going to have his body parts found right now.
Yep.
At the worst.
Yep. So, good old Adam.
By the way, fucking did a bad job. They knew he was missing after fucking 2 hours. And now they found his body. And as we know, it's only been a week.
Yep.
Somehow.
Yep. So Misty did not do.
So, besides our joking bitches here and there, this is a really good episode. I like that we get a big introspection on all the main characters. I like that we kind of separate them, but bring them together without, long enough to have them, even though I didn't really talk about it too much, just because it's all kind of they're all having fun. They all talk a bit. It's just nice, it's just nice to have them interacting.
I do want to kind of, I want to make sure I do this scene justice. I want to talk about the ending of the present and the ending of the past. I really liked how they cut back and forth between that because it was really good dramatic irony where they were having this great moment in the present and then the past they're just all really going through it and really going through the winnow and everything like that. It really made those two scenes stand out because, this could have just been a low moment. They're just having a nice time. But I think the fact that they chose to cut between the past and the present during when Shauna was brutally beating the crap out of Lottie was a really good cut in past and present too. I want to make sure I bring that up.
Yeah, I just mentioned that Taissa tried to bring up to Van that she because she's such a she's a senator, she has a good amount of money, she could get Van the help she needs for her cancer, and Van kind of just brushes her off.
Yeah.
Again, not really much we can to say on that. It's kind of the same situation at the end of the conversation earlier, where Taissa wants to help her, and Van's like, no, I got cancer, I'm gonna die.
No, you're not.
But yeah, really good episode. Same with the past. I'm glad we didn't get a big time skip, and I'm glad it was the main thing was dealing with the death of Shauna's baby.
It's good. Let's do letter grades. I'll let you go first.
Us, not quite S tier, but definitely a great episode, and I'm glad we're kind of back on track after a couple bad episodes.
I agree, A+. I don't think it's quite S rank, because obviously I have some issues. That's right, A+, we still have issues, but I still have some issues like the Taissa plot line. I had some issues with that. I don't really like the fact that they mentioned one offhand that they had only that in the present that's only been a week, and then I feel like we should have gotten. I think we should have gotten a quick scene with Harvey just because.
I feel like I like it more than I dislike it, but I'm still weirded out by it. I don't know what to think of it.
Yeah, the highs are definitely the highest of this episode. So
there's lows in this, but very few, and they're not a big deal. It's a solid A+. I really like it.
Kind of like how you feel about RVB season 8. Where the highs really make up for the lows, type of thing.
Yeah. But, great episode. I'm glad I can finally watch the next one because it's been a month.
Oh my god!
Since I watched. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to watching episode 8.
I assume you're not watching it tonight because it's almost 11 o'clock. You're probably fucking tired, so. Oh
my god! How the fuck have we talked that long? Oh my god. Okay, yeah, I gotta go to work tomorrow, so probably not.
Anything you want to plug up before we get out of here?
No, because I'm tired.
Okay. Yeah, check out Wrestling Fortune 44 for all the wrestling content. Check out this channel. We're going to be wrapping up YellowJackets, doing that comparison video, and then after we do, after we finish season 2, we're not going to jump right into season 3. We're going to do a couple small videos. We're gonna review one episode of Danny Avatar and Ben 10, and then we'll jump right into season 3 because we want to take we want to feel like we've taken a little bit of time off before we've watched YellowJackets season 3, so I can wait. I don't want to wait too long, but I can wait like a week or so.
I don't wait too long, but like I'm just saying, we'll do a couple small videos before we jump right in. Like, and when I say a couple, I mean like only 2 or 3. We're not gonna like spam 10 videos before we jump.
Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. And thank you guys for watching this video. We talk to you guys later.
Bye.